Election Commission issues 3-day deadline to election code of conduct violators to respond, warns of unilateral action otherwise. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in federal capital Kathmandu to be overseen by women returning officers. Western low-pressure system brings rain and snow across Nepal, causing colder temperatures and disruptions nationwide. Gold and silver prices hit record highs in Nepal as global and domestic demand push precious metals up. Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar killed along with 4 others as plane crashes near Pune in Maharashtra of India. And APF club secures 4th consecutive win in NFA National League, tops points table after beating Jalak Youth Club. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. The Election Commission of Nepal has issued 3-day ultimatum to election code of conduct violators to respond. Among the 15 written clarifications sought by the Commission as of Wednesday afternoon, it had only received responses from 5 candidates and political parties. Assistant spokesperson at the Commission, Kul Bahadur GC, said the number of reported cases is on the rise in the last few days. According to GC, the Commission will give 3 days to every candidate or party violating the Code of Conduct to respond to the Commission. In case the candidates or the parties do not respond, they will get another chance for 3 days after the second letter. Once the second 3-day deadline expires, the Commission will take unilateral action on them based on the nature of the offence. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in Nepal's federal capital Kathmandu will be headed by women this time. Though political parties turned indifferent towards nominating women under first-past-the-post system, the Election Commission, under the recommendation of Judicial Service Commission, has appointed 9 women returning officers in Kathmandu. Sabika Shrestha explores the increasing women leadership in election management.
Amid much hue and cry over meager women candidates in the March 5 House of Representatives election, the Election Commission has handed the command of federal capital to women returning officers. The political parties turned cold shoulder in implementing the spirit of the Constitution while selecting candidates under first-past-the-post system by only nominating 11.34% women as candidates. 9 of the returning officers in federal capital Kathmandu, that has the highest number of 10 election constituencies, are women. The Commission, on the recommendation of Judicial Service Commission, has appointed the judges in all 77 districts as the chief returning officers for the March 5 election, while 88 second-class gazetted officers in judicial service have been given the responsibility of returning officer. In Kathmandu, Deputy Attorney General Santi Neopani is overseeing constituency number 2, Krishna Bhandari, Deputy Attorney in Patan, is heading Kathmandu 4, while Under Secretary Sarda Rizal from the Ministry of Law is in charge of Kathmandu 5, and Chapala Pokhrel is leading the election in Kathmandu 6. Likewise, Savita Sharma, Kathmandu 7, Samjana Khanal, Kathmandu 8, Menuka Ghimire, Kathmandu 9, and Supreme Court Deputy Registrar Amrita Kumari Sharma is leading this time in Kathmandu 10. The Election Commission's decision to entrust women with the majority of election management responsibilities is being viewed as a reflection of growing institutional confidence in women's leadership.
This practice is for empowering women officers and also developing their leadership, and it indicates that the other women are also in line of taking leadership. That's why other women officers and other ladies can also be encouraged to have challenging job. Slowly and gradually, the number of women participation, the number of women leadership is increasing in the candidacy also.
The chief returning officers and returning officers have already started their role from January 9 in designated offices. The women are excited to have been entrusted the job and say these are exciting moments when the country itself has its first women prime minister.
सरकारको नेतृत्व पनि महिलाले गरिरहनु भएको छ हैन नेपालको इतिहास रच्दै हुनुहुन्छ महिलाहरूले हैन महिलाहरू फियर हुन्छन् यिनीहरू फेयरली काम गर्न सक्छन्, कसैप्रति बायस हुँदैनन् हैन। जसरी स्वच्छ निष्पक्ष निर्वाचन भयो भने हाम्रो देशको जनप्रतिनिधि राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर र त्यही स्वच्छताको लागि पनि महिलाहरूको नेतृत्वमा चाहिँ अहिले सायद हुनसक्छ जति हुन त हामीले अहिले निर्वाचन आयोगले न्याय सेवाको महिलाहरू जति हुनुहुन्छ त्यसमा केही पर्सेन्टेज, अब हुन त पुरै सबै ठाउँमा त महिला मात्रै त हुनुहुन्न, तर भ्यालीमा चाहिँ 3 जना पुरुष हुनुहुन्छ, त्योदेखि बाहेक सबैजना महिला हुनुहुन्छ। त्यो नाताले पनि के गरियो भनेदेखि महिलाले फेयरली काम गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ। काठमाडौँ भनेको त भिडभाड अलि राम्रो नराम्रो दुवै पक्षले अगाडि भएको ठाउँ हो, यसमा चाहिँ महिलाहरू सक्षम भएर निस्किन्छन् भनेर नै सायद गरिएको होला भन्ने।
The move also resonates with the demands raised by the Gen Z movement, which has consistently called for inclusive participation, shared ownership, and accountability across state institutions. As the March 5 polls approach, the women-led election management in Kathmandu sends a strong message. Women are not only capable of safeguarding democracy, but are increasingly shaping it. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Samir Thapa reporting for NTV World.
In today's National Assembly session, members raised several pressing issues during zero hour. They highlighted poor road conditions, delayed relief for Jajarkot earthquake victims, and cautioned against following misinformation on social media ahead of upcoming elections. Lawmakers also called for transparency, urging government ministers, including Prime Minister Sushila Karki, to publicly declare their assets. Lawmakers emphasized the need for accountable governance as well. They expressed concern over ministers resigning from the interim government to contest the House of Representatives election, citing potential questions over government credibility, particularly following the recent September protests that caused significant public property damage. We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. You're watching NTV World and this is Prime Time News. Welcome back. A shifting weather system has brought light rain to Kathmandu Valley, making the capital noticeably colder since early morning today. A western low-pressure system is affecting weather across the country, bringing rain to Kathmandu Valley and snow to high hill and mountainous regions. Temperatures in the capital have dropped since early morning, with midday rainfall making it feel even colder. Over the past 24 hours, Sudur Paschim and Karnali provinces have recorded heavy rainfall, including 43 millimeters in Surkhet, while moderate rainfall in western hilly districts were reported. High-altitude areas, including parts of Himalayas, have received snow, disrupting daily life. Meteorologists report that the system will gradually weaken overnight, with mostly clear skies expected in lowland regions. Some high mountain areas may still see light snow or rain, and fog is forecast for Tarai Plains tomorrow. Upper regions of Rasu are experiencing heavy snowfall for the first time this year, while lower areas report light rain. Locations including Gosaikunda, Langtang, Thuman and Dhunche are affected, causing colder conditions that have disrupted daily life. The district administration has issued advisories urging residents to take precautions. Roads including Kagbini Korala are blocked and snow accumulation exceeds 2 feet in some areas. Meanwhile, Gorkha's northern villages and Manang's upper regions are also seeing continuous snowfall. Authorities warn trekkers to coordinate with local officers before embarking on trails such as Thorangla, Larke, Kala and Tilicho Pass. Heavy snowfall has hit the mountain and hilly districts of Karnali and Sudur Pashchim provinces since Tuesday evening, severely disrupting daily life. Travel between villages is difficult, some areas are cut off, and extreme cold is affecting daily work in district headquarters, including Martadi, Gamgadi, Chainpur and Simkot. Flights from Nepalganj to Bajura, Humla, Jumla, Dolpa and Mugu have been suspended, with 30 to 40 daily services affected. Local schools and communications in northern Bajura and surrounding districts are also impacted due to power and solar battery issues. Nepal remains on the international grey list for money laundering as authorities struggle to control assets generated through corruption, tax evasion, human trafficking and illegal drug trade. Last fiscal year, 20 money laundering cases were filed, with 5 more registered in the first 6 months of this year. Despite new laws, including a ban on cash transactions above 500,000 rupees, enforcement remains weak due to political pressure and limited commitment. Experts warn that failure to meet international standards within the next 11 months could place Nepal on the global blacklist, affecting foreign investment, international trade, and remittances from migrant workers. Today on National Money Laundering Prevention Day, Finance Minister Rameshwar Khanal said, with committed action from all agencies, Nepal can exit the grey list within a year's time. Gold prices have surged to a record high in Nepal, trading at 318,800 rupees per tola, while silver has also reached an all-time high of 7,300 rupees per tola. The Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Association has said gold rose by 9,500 rupees in just one day, while silver jumped by over 400 rupees. Stakeholders link the surge to rising international prices, where gold traders around 5,200 in fact US dollars per ounce and silver at $111 per ounce. Experts caution investors to monitor market volatility as global trends and local demand continue to drive precious metal prices upward. Kathmandu's Business Expo 2026 opened today, featuring around 200 stalls showcasing local products, services and traditional cuisine. The week-long event also includes food competitions and a festival drawing participants from across Nepal. Organizers say the expo aims to expand markets for domestic goods, attract investment and highlight the city's tourism and cultural heritage. Experts note such events play a growing role in Nepal's economy, supporting small and medium enterprises and creating jobs at a time when regional trade and tourism are key growth drivers. Acting Mayor Sunita Dangul emphasized that business festivals provide opportunities for networking, market access and skill development, aligning with efforts to strengthen economic self-reliance in Kathmandu and beyond. Now, Palpa, declared leprosy-free 16 years ago, has seen a rise in cases over the past 3 years. In the current fiscal year, 7 new infections were identified compared to 18 in 24-25. Last year, 21 patients were receiving treatment, according to District Health Office. Cases have been reported in Tansen, Rampur, Nisti and Tino municipalities, while Ramba and Ribdikot currently report no infections. Despite awareness campaigns, active case searches and multi-drug treatment programs, high disability rates and social stigma persist. Officials urge anyone with suspected symptoms to seek timely medical care, warning that lack of trained personnel and limited prioritization continue to pose challenges. In Beldandi municipality, Kanchanpur, local authorities are offering mothers 3,000 rupees for giving birth to daughters, aiming to tackle long-standing gender discrimination. Gender bias affecting the birth of daughters is a global concern, with many societies facing challenges around equal treatment, education and healthcare for girls. This program, under the Deputy Chairperson's Koshali initiative, has supported 40 mothers this fiscal year, with a total of 353 mothers receiving benefits since 2023-24. Mothers must present marriage and birth certificates to claim the allowance, which also is expected to help prevent child marriages. Previously, mothers received only 500 rupees as postnatal nutrition support. International news coming up next. For now, a short break. India's western state of Maharashtra has been rocked by a deadly aviation accident after an aircraft carrying Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar crashed during landing in Pune district on Wednesday morning. Pawar and 4 others on board were killed when the plane went down in Baramati area, about 100 kilometers from the city of Pune. Authorities said preliminary reports are still unclear on whether the incident was caused by a technical failure or a crash landing. Emergency responders from the local administration and aviation authorities rushed to the site and began rescue and recovery operations. Officials said further details will be released as investigations into the cause of the accident continue. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that a Democratic victory in the November midterm elections would lead to what he described as very bad things as he launched his campaign push in Iowa.
If we lose the midterms, you'll lose so many of the things that we're talking about, so many of the assets that we're talking about, so many of the tax cuts that we're talking about. And it would lead to very bad things. We got to win the midterms. I mean, I'm here because I love Iowa, but I'm here because we're starting the campaign to win the midterms. We got to win the midterms.
Trump's remarks come amid heightened political tensions following the fatal shooting of a nurse by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis, an incident now under review for possible breaches of protocol. The White House says the administration may scale back some operations in the city while insisting there is no full pullback from immigration enforcement. The situation intensified after Democratic lawmaker Ilhan Omar was attacked with a syringe at a town hall meeting, prompting renewed debate over security and immigration policy. The developments underscore deep divisions in the U.S. as immigration enforcement, public safety, and the upcoming midterm elections converge. A South Korean court has sentenced former First Lady Kim Kyun-hee to 20 months in prison for accepting luxury gifts from a church described by authorities as cult-like, while acquitting her of stock manipulation and campaign finance violations. The 53-year-old wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol was found guilty of corruption after the court ruled she abused her proximity to power for personal gain, although prosecutors had sought a 15-year sentence. The verdict follows years of controversy that overshadowed Yoon's presidency, including allegations of graft and influence peddling, and comes as both Kim and Yoon are now in custody on separate cases. A French court has convicted former Senator Joël Guériau of drugging a fellow lawmaker with ecstasy with the intent to sexually assault her, sentencing him to 4 years in prison, including 18 months behind bars. The case stems from an incident in November 2023 when National Assembly member Sandrine Josso fell ill after drinking champagne at Guériau's Paris apartment, with toxicology tests later confirming the presence of MDMA. The verdict comes amid heightened public scrutiny in France following other high-profile cases involving drug-facilitated sexual crimes. Guériau, who resigned from the state Senate last year, has said he will appeal against the ruling. The United Nations Security Council has voted to end its monitoring mission in Yemen's Red Sea port city of Hodeidah, which was set up to oversee a ceasefire in the long-running conflict. 13 of the Council's 15 members backed the move, citing restricted operations and growing security concerns for UN staff, while Russia and China abstained. The mission, known as UNMHA, has been in place since 2019, following fighting between Yemen's internationally recognized government and the Iran-aligned Houthi movement. UN officials said the operating environment has narrowed as the conflict has evolved and UN personnel have faced repeated detentions. The decision comes amid warnings that Yemen's humanitarian crisis, already described as the world's worst, is expected to deepen as food insecurity and aid shortages worsen. We're going for another short break here. More international news and sports update coming up next. France's lower house of parliament has approved legislation to ban access to social media platforms for children under the age of 15, a move backed by President Emmanuel Macron and now awaiting Senate approval. Supporters say the measure sends a strong signal about protecting young users from online harm, but experts and parents have raised concerns about enforcement and age verification loopholes. Child protection groups say the law will only be effective if a robust and reliable system is put in place to verify users' ages. Teenagers themselves appear divided, with some acknowledging the negative impact of excessive social media use, while others say they plan to bypass the restrictions. France would become the first European country to introduce such a ban, following similar steps taken by Australia. Over 1,000 swans have transformed a wetland in Yining County, northwest of China's Xinjiang region, into a winter wonderland, drawing crowds of tourists. The snow-covered landscape, combined with the birds' shimmering white feathers, has created a striking scene. Since last October, thousands of swans, mostly mute swans, have arrived to spend the winter at Swan Spring Lake. Tourists say the sight of the birds against the snowy backdrop is breathtaking, with some capturing moments of the swans forming heart shapes. Thanks to underground hot springs, the lake remains largely unfrozen, providing a crucial winter habitat for the swans. Time now for a sports update. Nepal's NTV National League is off to a competitive start, with departmental team APF Club claiming its fourth consecutive win. Today at the NTV complex in Sadobato, APF defeated Jaulakhel Youth Club 2-1. Jaulakhel initially took the lead but could not hold it, allowing APF to secure the top spot in the league table with 12 points from 4 matches, surpassing Daliguras Association. Jaulakhel meanwhile has 3 points from 4 matches, showing the competitive edge emerging in the region. And before before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Election Commission issues 3-day deadline to Election Code of Conduct violators to respond, warns of unilateral action otherwise. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in the federal capital Kathmandu to be overseen by women returning officers. Western low-pressure system brings rain and snow across Nepal, causing colder temperatures and disruptions nationwide. Gold and silver prices hit record highs in Nepal as global and domestic demand pushed precious metals up. Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar killed along with 4 others as plane crashes near Pune in Maharashtra of India. And APF club secures 4th consecutive win in NFA National League, tops points table after beating Jalakil Youth Club. That is all for the moment here on NTV World Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and also get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries, where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
is the world this week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavana Casey. In this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe, from high-stake discussions at the World Economic Forum in Davos to TikTok's major US deal, groundbreaking achievements in space. We have got all the key headlines you need to know. Let's start with the World Economic Forum held this week in Davos. The World Economic Forum ended amid geopolitical shifts, with leaders debating trade tensions, global conflicts, climate risk, and the future of the cooperation in a fragmented world. US President Donald Trump drew attention by saying his proposed Board of Peace will work in conjunction with the United Nations, presenting it as a complementary effort to address international conflicts.
Delegates from around the world convened in Davos to discuss a broad range of pressing issues, including escalating trade tensions, ongoing regional conflict, climate change risk, and the increasingly uncertain future of international cooperation in a fragmented world. The discussions highlighted the stark contrast between the nation's economic priorities and political strategies. While some countries emphasized the urgent need for multilateral cooperation to combat climate change and global economic instability, others focused on protecting national interest in an era marked by rising nationalism. Trade disputes between major economies, particularly between the United States and China, were a recurring topic of debate as policymakers warned that prolonged tensions could slow global growth and disrupt supply chains. US President Donald Trump emerged as a focal point of attention during the forum, drawing both praise and criticism with his proposal for a new Board of Peace. According to Trump, the initiative would operate in a close coordination with the United Nations, serving as a mechanism to address international conflicts more efficiently.
Do other things. We can do numerous other things. Once this board is completely formed, we can do pretty much whatever we want to do, and we'll do it in conjunction with the United Nations. You know, I've always said the United Nations has got tremendous potential, has not used it, but this is important. This board has the chance to be one of the most consequential bodies ever created, and it's my enormous honor to serve as its chairman. I was very honored when they asked me to do it.
As the forum concluded, many delegates highlighted the difficulty of achieving consensus in a fragmented global system.
At the same forum in Davos, Ukrainian President Zelensky said that US President Trump's ability to maintain a dialogue with Russian President Putin could help bring about an end to the war in Ukraine. Russian, Ukrainian and US negotiators in the meantime are meeting in Abu Dhabi for what is expected to be the first trilateral talks since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022.
Zelensky told journalists at the World Economic Forum in Davos that he believed President Trump could help end the war in Ukraine because he had a direct dialogue with Russian President Vladimir Putin, emphasizing that not everyone had that label of access. Zelensky also added he has reached an agreement with Trump on security guarantees to ensure the maintenance of peace in Ukraine following a possible cessation of the conflict with Russia. Zelensky also said the documents being drafted with Washington aimed at ending the nearly 4-year Russian invasion are nearly ready. Trump, meanwhile, after meeting Zelensky in Davos, called for Russia's war on Ukraine to end.
What do you mean by total? We're meeting with Russia. That'll take place tomorrow. They're going to be meeting with President Putin. I had a very good meeting with President Zelensky. Everybody wants to have the war end.
Separately, Russian, Ukrainian and US negotiators are meeting in Abu Dhabi for the first trilateral talks since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The discussions are being closely watched as a potential turning point in the conflict, offering an early test of Moscow's willingness to pursue a negotiated resolution.
Japan has suspended operations at the nuclear plant hours after restarting a reactor after an alarm sounded during startup procedures, though the reactor remained stable, according to operator TEPCO. The restart of reactor number 6, the first at the plant since the 2011's Fukushima disaster, comes as Japan continues to a cautious return to nuclear power after shutting down old reactors following the catastrophic earthquake and meltdown.
Reactor 6 had restarted on Wednesday, a day later than planned due to a separate alarm malfunction. It is the first reactor at the plant to be restarted since the 2011 Fukushima disaster, which followed a 9-magnitude earthquake and triggered a meltdown that forced more than 150,000 people to evacuate. Following the suspension, Tokyo Electric Power Company TEPCO's spokesperson Takashi Kobayashi said the reactor was stable and there is no radioactive impact outside. He added that TEPCO was investigating the cause of the incident and did not provide a timeline for when operations will resume. Prior to the scheduled restart, protests erupted outside the headquarters of Tokyo Electric Power Company in Tokyo as people gathered to oppose plans to restart the world's largest nuclear power plant. Many evacuees meanwhile have not returned despite government's assurance that the area is safe. The plant's 7th reactor is not expected to restart until 2030 and the remaining 5 reactors could be decommissioned, significantly reducing the plant's capacity compared with when all 7 were operational.
TikTok has closed a deal that will allow the hugely popular short video app to continue operating in the US. The deal comes after a years-long tussle between Washington and Beijing that began in Trump's first term in the White House when he tried unsuccessfully to ban the app over national security concerns.
TikTok was due to be banned in the US in January 2025 if its Chinese owner, ByteDance, failed to sell its US operations to American investors. If its Chinese owner, ByteDance, failed to sell its US operations to American investors. But US President Donald Trump repeatedly postponed the enforcement of legislation to take down the application. The main source of contention was the application's powerful algorithm, which dictates the content recommended to users. Now that formula has been licensed to the application's American owners and will be trained only on US data. It is said this will certainly produce changes, but how exactly it affects the 200 million Americans on the app remains unclear. For years, Washington has been pressuring TikTok to sell its US operations, citing national security concerns over its Chinese owner, ByteDance. Lawmakers had expressed fears that Beijing could force the firm to hand over US users' data. Both TikTok and ByteDance have consistently denied the claim. The idea of a TikTok ban, first floated by Trump during his first term in 2020, gained momentum under Joe Biden's presidency. In 2024, Biden signed a law demanding that ByteDance sell TikTok or face a ban in the US. A legal battle ensued between ByteDance and the US government. And in January last year, the application went offline for US users for 12 to 14 hours. Meanwhile, President Trump welcomed TikTok's new majority American-owned joint venture and thanked Chinese President Xi Jinping for approving the deal.
A high-speed train derailed, then collided head-on with an oncoming service in Spain this week, killing at least 43 people and injuring more than 120 others. The accident is said to be one of the worst rail disasters in Spain as recovery operations continued this week.
Carriages on a moderate-bound train derailed and crossed over to the opposite tracks, colliding with an incoming train in Adamuz. 400 passengers and staff were on board both the trains. Emergency services treated 122 people, with 48, including 5 children, still in hospital. Spanish transport minister said the death toll is not yet final, as officials have launched an investigation. He described the incident as extremely strange. The collision happened at 7:45 p.m. local time, about an hour after the train left Malaga, heading north to Madrid, when it derailed on a straight stretch of track near the city of Cordoba. The force of the crash pushed the carriages of the second train into an embankment. Rescue teams said the twisted wreckage of the trains made it difficult to recover people trapped inside the carriages.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has won a 7th term with a 71.65% of the vote, extending his rule since 1986. At the age of 81, Museveni will enter his 5th decade in office.
People took to the streets of Kampala to celebrate after Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni was declared the winner of a disputed election, securing a 7th term in office. The announcement followed days of tension after a vote that was marred by reports of violence, a nationwide internet shutdown, and a heavy security deployment across the country. African election observers say the arrest and kidnappings of opposition supporters before and after polling day had instilled fear among voters, raising concerns about the credibility of the process. Opposition leaders rejected the results, alleging widespread intimidation, ballot irregularities, and the suppression of dissent. Museveni, who has been in power since 1986, dismissed the accusations and defended the security measures as necessary to maintain order. Authorities said the internet blackout was imposed to prevent the spread of misinformation. Despite the controversy, state media showed supporters celebrating the result, highlighting the deep political divisions that continue to shape Uganda's political landscape.
Turkey's Kızılırmak Delta is home to 365 bird species, representing nearly 70% of the country's total, and serves as a key wintering and stopover site for migratory birds. The strictly protected area receives approximately 100,000 visitors annually.
Turkey's Kızılırmak Delta has exceptional bird diversity and serves as a key wintering ground for migratory species. Located in Samsun, the Kızılırmak Delta Bird Paradise stands out for its rich biological diversity. Spanning 56,000 hectares, the delta is home to nearly 70% of all bird species found in Turkey, with a total of 365 species recorded. During the winter months, the delta becomes a vital refuge for migratory birds arriving from Siberia and northern Europe. Nearly 1,000 swans spend the winter season in the area, creating striking natural scenes for visitors. Welcoming around 100,000 visitors annually, the delta is designated as a strictly protected sensitive area. The wetland's role as a stopover and wintering site is considered critical for many bird species, while the presence of swans offers visitors a unique and memorable landscape. Conservation efforts focus on preserving the delta's wetlands, lagoons, and reed beds, which are essential for sustaining this fragile ecosystem. The delta continues to play a critical role in biodiversity conservation and awareness in Turkey.
Villagers in Nepal's Himalayan foothills gathered to watch an annual bullfighting event held during the Maghe Sankranti festival, a Hindu celebration marking the start of the holy month of Magh and the transition to warmer weather and longer days. The event, which draws thousands of spectators, features a pair of bulls pitted against each other in a public arena. Organizers say the tradition is closely tied to a local culture and is conducted under supervision.
The bulls are often adorned with colorful decorations, and local musicians play drums and horns to accompany the event, creating a lively and festive atmosphere. For villagers, the bullfighting tradition is closely tied to local culture, agricultural practices, and religious observances. It is seen as a way to honor the strength and vitality of livestock, which are central to the region's farming communities. Families prepare special foods and perform rituals during the festival, while young men and women participate in organizing the event, reinforcing community ties. While the practice draws enthusiasm from locals and tourists alike, animal welfare groups have occasionally raised concerns over the ethics of bullfighting. Organizers maintain that the event is conducted responsibly, with veterinarians present to monitor the animal's health and prevent serious injuries. Maghe Sankranti festival itself is celebrated across Nepal, particularly in the mid and far western regions. It includes offerings to the sun god, bathing in holy rivers, and preparing traditional foods such as sesame seeds, molasses, and yam. The bullfighting event is considered one of the festival's main attractions in the Himalayan foothills, reflecting a centuries-old blend of cultural celebration, religious observance, and community entertainment.
While in neighboring India, tens of thousands of Hindu pilgrims took part in the month-long Magh Mela festival along the banks of the Ganges River.
Thousands of Hindu devotees gathered at the Sangam, the sacred confluence of the Ganges, Yamuna, and the mythical Saraswati rivers, to bathe in the holy waters during India's annual 44-day Magh Mela festival. Pilgrims from across the country arrived in the early morning, braving winter cold, to take part in the ritual bathing, which is believed to bring spiritual liberation and cleanse devotees of their sins. The Magh Mela, held each year in the northern city of Prayagraj, is one of Hinduism's most important religious gatherings. Temporary camps, kitchens, and medical facilities have been set up along the riverbanks to accommodate the influx of worshippers, saints, and other people. Authorities deployed a large number of police and volunteers to manage crowds and ensure the safety at the sprawling festival site. The event blends devotion, tradition, and community, drawing millions over its duration and underscoring the enduring spiritual significance of India's.
A long-serving extravehicular activity EVA spacesuit from China's Tiangong space station returned to the Earth this week aboard the Shenzhou 20 re-entry capsule. The suit spent more than 4 years in the orbit, exceeding its original design life.
A long-serving extravehicular activity spacesuit returned to the Earth on Monday aboard the re-entry capsule of China's Shenzhou 20 spaceship, concluding a distinguished service period spanning more than 4 years in orbit, far exceeding its original design life. Known as Spacesuit B, it was among a number of large scientific payload items sent back to the Earth on the unmanned Shenzhou 20 return capsule, which touched down in North China's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. The capsule's original return had been delayed due to concerns over damage sustained in a suspected space debris incident, while an alternative spacecraft was used to transport the 3 Chinese astronauts on the Shenzhou 20 mission safely back home in November. First launched in May 2021, Spacesuit B made its debut during the inaugural EVA conducted from the then under construction Tiangong space station in July 2021, when it was used as part of a landmark 7-hour spacewalk. Over the next 4.5 years, the suit supported 11 Chinese astronauts across 8 crewed missions, enabling 20 successful EVAs to be conducted. The 3 Shenzhou 2 astronauts arrived at the space station on November 1st, with the return capsule later being used to bring back the Shenzhou 20 crew members after tiny cracks were found in the viewport window of the latter spacecraft. The damage was likely caused by an external impact from space debris, according to China Manned Space Agency.
South Korea's military launched its first large-scale cold weather exercise, conducting intensive drills in a snow-covered mountainous terrain. The 2-month program includes battlefield surveillance, ski mobility, casualty evacuation, and operations using small explosive-laden drones.
The South Korean Marine Corps Special Brigade has launched its first large-scale cold-weather training exercise since its formation last year, conducting intensive drills in extreme winter conditions, including operations involving small drones. The 2-month training program, which began earlier this month, is designed to strengthen the brigade's ability to conduct deep penetration and missions during wartime. The newly established unit trained in snow-covered mountainous terrain where temperatures remained well below freezing. During the exercises, Marines performed cold exposure conditioning drills, including lying on snow-covered ground with bare torsos and sprinting up icy slopes to build endurance and resilience. Training scenarios focused on entering into enemy's territory, battlefield surveillance, and rapid response under ambush conditions. Ski-based mobility drills were also conducted to enhance mobility in deep snow, alongside casualty evacuation exercises simulating combat injuries in harsh terrain.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences this week announced nominations for the 90th Academy Awards, with the movie Sinners leading the field in a record-breaking year for the Oscars. Sinners received 16 nominations, the most ever for a single movie, as it surpassed the previous record of 14 nominations held by Titanic, All About Eve, and La La Land.
The Oscars nominations highlight a mix of established favorites and surprising contenders across multiple categories. In addition to Sinners, several other films received multiple nominations, reflecting both critical acclaim and popular interest. It is noted that this year's slate demonstrates the Academy's continued emphasis on diversity and international cinema, with films from outside the US earning significant recognition. Hosts Daniel Brooks and Louise Pullman kicked off the announcement with the Best Supporting Actress category, surprising many viewers by naming Elle Fanning for her role in Sentimental Value. Awards pundits had not widely predicted her nomination, signaling a year of unexpected choices and notable snubs. The nominations also underscore competitive nature of this year's Oscars, with multiple films vying for key awards in acting, directing, and technical categories. The 98th Oscars ceremony is being held on March 15 in Los Angeles.
The Netherlands marked its annual National Tulip Day this week. Thousands visited to see blooming tulips, while growers highlighted the Netherlands' flower industry and promoted sales ahead of the spring harvest.
Around 200,000 free tulips are being handed out at Museumplein in Amsterdam as part of Dutch National Tulip Day, marking the start of the country's international cut tulip season. The event, organized under the theme United in Bloom, draws locals and tourists alike who line up to collect the vibrant flowers and celebrate the Netherlands' iconic flower industry. The tulip season, which runs until the end of April, showcases the nation's status as the world's leading producer of cut tulips. During the 2025 season, the Netherlands produced an estimated 2 billion cut tulips, underscoring the scale and global importance of its floriculture sector. Dutch National Tulip Day combines tradition, tourism, and horticulture, offering a colorful start to the spring season while highlighting the economic and cultural significance of the tulip in Dutch life.
Well, that was the coverage of the Netherlands' iconic tulip flowers, and this brings us to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We shall see you again next week with a new episode. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
गुरु गोरखनाथका तपोभूमि गोर्खा उनकै अनुयायी कन्फट्टा जोगीको रूपमा चिनिने नाथहरूले नाद बजाउँदै कार्तिक र चैत महिनामा राति लगाउने फेरी परम्परा।
चैत र कार्तिकमा चाहिँ यो बजाइन्छ। यो बजाएपछि नाथ बजेपछि काल पनि भएको छ भने नाथ बजे काल भए काले कनिका दूर जाए भनेर हामीले फलाकिन्छ यसलाई। यो कृष्ण सागरको सिङ हो। अब यो चैत र कार्तिकमा बजाएपछि भूत पिचास मरी मसान सबै टाढा जाओस् भागोस् भनेर राति राति हामीले यो काम गरेर हिँडेको हो। काउना गुरुले ज्ञान दे काउना गुरुले कान फारे सतह गुरुले ज्ञान दे अलगा गुरुले कान फारे। अब हामीले यो बाबाजी पालादेखि नै यो गोरखनाथको चेला बनेर कान चिरेर अब हिँडेको।
पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको सन्धि विग्रह कूटनैतिक सम्बन्धमा कनपट्टा जोगीहरूको अत्यन्त ठुलो महत्त्वपूर्ण स्थान छ। कौटल्यको शब्दमा भन्ने हो भने राज्य जोडिएको छिमेकी शत्रु हुन्छ, त्यसभन्दा टाढाको छिमेकी चाहिँ मित्र हुन्छ। त्यसैले पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको लागि अथवा गोर्खाको लागि भनौँ 24 राज्यहरू शत्रु हुन् भने 22 राज्यहरू मित्र हुन्। विशेष गरेर सल्यानमा जहाँ सल्यानका राजकुमार रणबीर शाहलाई पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले आफ्नी एकमात्र पुत्री विलासपतिको पनि विक्रम सम्वत 1823 मा विवाह गराइदिए। ती भगवन्तनाथसँग पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले कूटनीतिक सम्बन्धको माध्यमबाट उनलाई अत्यन्त सम्मानित गरेर पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले लेखेका विषम 1830-31 का पत्रहरू छापिएका भन्छन्। त्यस्ता अरू पत्रहरू खोज्दै जाँदा होला पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले आफ्नो राज्य बढाउनेमा उनी धर्मप्राण पनि थिए। त्यसबाट प्रसार गर्नेमा कूटनैतिक खेल्नेमा नाथयोगीहरूको अत्यन्त प्रयोग गरेको देखिन्छ र उनीहरूले पनि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहलाई मद्दत गरेका थिए भन्ने कुरा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहका नाति रणबहादुर शाहका पालाका पत्रहरूबाट पनि धेरै जात जातिलाई ती नाथयोगीहरूलाई जिम्मा दिएकोबाट बुझिन्छ। र नेपालको एकीकरणमा यी नाथ योगीहरूको प्रभाव, उनीहरूले दिएको योगदानको विषयमा छुट्टै एउटा राम्रो अध्ययन हुनुपर्छ भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ।
अब बिहानमा चाहिँ फेरि सब सिधाहरू बनाइदिनुहुन्छ, यो के अरे ग्रह शान्ति होस् भनेर हामीले त्यसको मन्त्र पढेर सबै हामीले यो हिँड्नुपर्छ। बाबुबाजेको पालादेखि नै यो अब गाउँ गाउँमा यसो भनौँ न अब औँसो बन्न जस्तै गरेर बाउले यो बाटो लाउँथे, यो बाटो बाउले लाउँथे भनेर 3-4 भयो भने 4 बटेर हिँड्नुहुन्थ्यो। अब अहिले पनि त्यस्तै नै छ। यो पहिले बाबुबाजेले यतातिर हिँडेको भएको र म पनि अहिले यहाँतिर यो गोठातिर मैले यो हिँडिरहेको छु। मैले कायाना कोठारी मघाभारी बाजा सातो नगरेका पनि सोधरे माको नाराज।
Welcome to Declassified Beyond the Brief. I'm Devendra Subedi. What is the importance of scientific research and academics in our day-to-day life? Do the breakthroughs and findings made by great scientists and researchers matter in everyday life of a common person like us? In this episode, we try to declassify the value of academics in life, history-making finding of a Nobel laureate, major challenges the world is facing, the cosmos, the universe, and much more. It is our honor and privilege to welcome Nobel laureate Professor Dr. Takaaki Kazita in the studios of Nepal Television and NTV World. Professor Kazita, welcome to NTV World.
Thank you.
You were the chief guest of the 51st convocation of one of the largest universities of the world, Tribhuvan University. Now, how much do countries like Nepal contribute in the global ecosystem of physics, Professor?
Well, as far as I think, physics is truly a global effort. Therefore, I think Nepal is one of the important contributors to the development of physics.
So Nepal can play or has played, Professor, so far?
Well, I hope Nepal can play more significant role in the future.
Now, going back to the universities, Professor, how did the Japanese universities where you studied shaped your scientific journey up to the Nobel Prize and the research that you conducted?
Thank you for this question. When I was young, I think the Japanese national universities have a kind of academic freedom. I can spend all my time for the research. I think that kind of environment was very important to really produce important scientific result.
But in our part, we often talk about practical education. It should be more day-to-day use. This should come into, but that is the importance of research, isn't it, Professor? We should concentrate. And what about the investment in research?
Well, I think both fundamental research and research that can contribute to tomorrow's life are both important. So we have to support both sides.
If Nepal have to strengthen its higher education system, let's say, what lessons can it learn from Japan at this present time?
In the last 20 or so years, Japanese government tried to reduce the support to the Japanese national universities. Then the effect was clear. The number of papers or number of highly cited papers rapidly decreased. So I think the support from the government, support from all the people in the country is very important for the development of science.
Now we move on to one of the things that you mentioned in your Convocation Day speech, Professor Kazuta. You mentioned about some of the major issues the world is facing right now. Can you elaborate something more onto your speech?
Well, I think I had several points. First of all, I mentioned AI, and AI is a kind of new technology, and it seems AI is really going to be really important for our future, and therefore we have to think about the way how to use AI properly. Of course, there are other issues such as climate change. This is again a global issue. Therefore, we all have to work hard to stop the global warming.
How about the geopolitical tensions surrounding this world, Professor Kazuta?
Well, I don't want to go into too details about this issue, but well, compared with, say, 20 years ago, well, I am really feeling that our world is changing. I really like to have our world 20 years ago.
That was much better.
Much better, yes.
Will the global dynamics, Professor Kazuta, always be dictated by the countries who have a lot of spending in scientific research or the ones that have robust economy? Who do you think will dictate the global dynamics?
Certainly, nowadays, some countries try to control everything, but well, I think every country, every people are player in the world.
So it should be a collaborative world.
Yes.
If you said you can't comment much on that one, now I come to your topic, physics, Professor Kazuta. Will the nuclear threat or the race that we see in this world after the evolution of technologies like nuclear fusion, nuclear fission, will that ever end, or are we going to ever see an end to this one?
Difficult question. Well, certainly, as far as the energy is concerned, if we have enough renewable energy resources, I hope we can forget about the nuclear powers and so on. But for the moment, we are not yet that position. So therefore, we still have, in my opinion, we still have to think seriously what will be the best way for the future.
There are always pros and cons of every discovery, or whenever there's a new evolution. Should the ones that are a threat to humanity or the environment be, let's say, eliminated right from the initial phase, or they should carry on? Let's take the example of cloning. Like, let's say now we have even reached up to human cloning. There's still a debate in that one. So such type of researches and experiments, should those things be promoted or should not be done at all?
Well, I'm certainly in a little bit conservative side. Well, nowadays, the things that science can do have expanded so much. Therefore, when we think about any application, we have to be very serious, and we need to have a significant discussion, and we need to have a consensus among the society.
So does that involve the scientific community only, or the common people as well?
I think we should involve the common people.
Now we move on to your specific research area, Professor Kazuta, that won you a Nobel Prize in 2015, physics, the cosmic rays and the neutrino oscillation. What is neutrino physics and how is it different from the particle physics?
Neutrino physics is part of particle physics, but, well, we think now neutrino physics is important because about 25 years ago, people discovered neutrino oscillations that implies neutrinos have small mass. And small mass of neutrinos might be the window to study physics beyond the standard model of particle physics. Therefore, well, we are excited.
Let's say this is something, a standard ball pen. How small and deep is your research when you study the neutrino oscillation? How small is the particle? To what depth do you reach?
Well, in the standard scenario, neutrinos do not have the size. Therefore, I cannot say how small.
Exactly how small they are. But they are not visible to our eyes, are they?
No, it's not possible even for particle physics experiments. We cannot see neutrinos.
So, in simple terms, Professor Kazuta, neutrino oscillation, what is it and why it matters to common people like us?
Oh, okay. Well, neutrino oscillations are phenomena that neutrinos, while traveling in the vacuum or even in the matter, they change their type.
Yeah.
That is the neutrino oscillations, and this happens if neutrinos have small mass. Of course, even if neutrinos have small mass, it doesn't matter to our daily life.
It doesn't matter, but it does shape the future of humanity, isn't it?
Well, as a humanity, we would like to understand the secrets of the universe,
Yeah.
and therefore we may contribute to expanding our knowledge.
How challenging was it, Professor Kazuta, to prove the neutrino oscillation theory experimentally?
Well, okay. When we discovered neutrino oscillations in 1998, well, people were not sure if really neutrinos oscillate. Therefore, we thought it's very important to convince neutrino physicists with a very clear data.
So with the experiment, you provided that data to your team and that did the research?
Yes, our team provided the clean data, yes.
I heard you say, Professor Kazita, my failed research, unsuccessful research, gave me a PhD. And the one that was successful earned you a Nobel Prize. You said somewhere this statement of yours. Can you explain on that one?
Yes, okay, thank you. Well, when I was a PhD student, I wanted to observe proton decays. I was unable to observe, but fortunately I got PhD.
For that particular research?
Yes. And well, even after PhD, I continued search for proton decays. Then, in some day, I noticed that the background events to the search for proton decays are not understood. That was neutrino interactions. Then I changed to this topic.
What does your discovery mean for humanity's or our, let's say, understanding of the matter and the cosmos?
Well, certainly, if we understand, for example, why neutrino mass is so small, it will certainly give us a better understanding of the fundamental theory of the particles, and these particle theories could help understand the universe better.
Is there any practical application of that in our day-to-day life?
No, I don't expect so.
Professor Kazita, you have spoken of super and hyper Kamiokande. You have already worked on that, going underneath the earth and then doing the experiment. Can you explain in simple terms to our viewers what exactly was that Kamiokande? Or you were even talking about the hyper Kamiokande now, which you want to work on.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me talk about the super Kamiokande experiment. It is a very large detector located in deep underground. It is located about 1,000 meter deep underground, and the size is about 40 meter in diameter and 40 meter high, and it contains 50,000 tons of extremely clean water. And you may ask, why you need 50,000 tons of water? Well, the problem is neutrinos essentially pass through everything, but very rarely they interact with matter. Therefore, in order to observe neutrino events, we need large volume. Therefore, we use 50,000 tons of water.
You went underneath, almost 1 kilometers underneath the surface of Earth in that reactor, and then how long did it take to come up with the finding?
Well, in fact, super Kamiokande was large enough. Therefore, in order to discover neutrino oscillations, it took only 2 years.
How large will be the hyper Kamiokande you are talking about?
Hyper Kamiokande will be about 8 times larger in volume than super Kamiokande.
When are you expecting, are you already into that mission, or are you expecting to do it pretty soon?
I think the experiment will start in 2028, so less than 3 years.
So you said there's a lot of collaboration in that one, 22 countries coming together for the Kamiokande. How about this hyper Kamiokande?
22 or 3 countries in collaboration is the hyper Kamiokande experiment. Even in super Kamiokande, we have collaborators from 11 countries.
11 countries then. So you are doubling the number, and it's 8 times larger experiment. I would like to wish you all the best for your hyper Kamiokande right here, right now, Professor Kazita, and hopefully the findings will land you another Nobel Prize, maybe.
Thank you, but I'm not deeply involved in Hyperkamiokande.
All right, but you are the one who started this with the Super One, and then hopefully that will be carried forward by the new generation of researchers.
Yes, I hope so.
How important is sustained investment in basic research or scientific breakthroughs in developing countries like Nepal, Professor?
Well, it's an important point. Well, from our experience, I can say the sustained support by the government is really important to carry out basic research. Well, it's not easy to produce important results in basic science, but well, in our case, government was very supportive, and we were able to produce important results over the past 30 years.
Any suggestion you have for developing countries like Nepal, where, as earlier I mentioned, we only talk about practical education, more day-to-day life applications, and why they should also spend in research and all this sort of stuff. Any suggestion you have, Professor?
Well, first of all, in order to develop science, academic freedom is important. So researchers can select whatever they would like to do. So that kind of freedom is very important. And sometimes their research cannot contribute to tomorrow's life. But if we think about the long history of humanity, the basic science, in some cases, contributes significantly to humanities. Therefore, the support to basic science is very important even in Nepal.
Do you think Nobel-level discoveries or research or findings are possible from countries like Nepal or any other developing countries as well?
I think so. But, well, supporting basic science is really the key to get the fundamental research result.
You spoke about perseverance in your speech in the convocation day. How important is perseverance and patience?
Well, it's absolutely essential to be able to continue the research for a long time.
For example, once you did your research and you couldn't find the proton decaying thing and you earned your PhD, had you left it there, you would not have reached up to the findings that you have made there. But today, nowadays, youths or even people are very much result-oriented. They want immediate result. They want immediate success. What message you have for them?
I think it's important that researchers find important questions, and it may take long time to answer to these important questions. But if you think this question is important, you should persuade.
So keep working on, think about the long-term impact, do investment from the government side, and the young researchers do not look for immediate success.
That's right. And, well, I think nowadays young researchers have a very high pressure in order to get the next job. Therefore, it's very important that government support young researchers' position, permanent position.
How important is physics, Professor Kazita, to human existence itself, to humanity? Physics.
Well, it's a difficult question. Well, as humanity, we would like to understand the universe better, and we physicists can contribute to our better understanding of the universe. Maybe that's all we can do.
As I earlier asked, in that practical thing you said, our better understanding of our universe. We should understand our universe better. and maybe the researchers in future can take your learning and apply there. How should humanity balance this curiosity-driven science with immediate societal needs?
I think this is a very important question. And well, certainly, as a physicist working on fundamental things, I really hope stronger support for fundamental research, but the balance between the fundamental research and the improvement of the tomorrow's life is always an issue. And I think we have to discuss as a community what will be the best way for the moment.
Information technology is evolving.
Yeah.
You spoke about AI earlier as well. Do you see it as a challenge, or will it complement human efficiency in the long term?
I think we have to, well, first of all, it is not possible to avoid the use of AI anymore. Then the question is, shall we simply use them without thinking anything?
Yeah.
That is the question. And I think, well, certainly we should use AI, but at the same time, we should not forget the importance of our thinking.
So it's not just the machines. We cannot avoid the use of technology and get the benefit out of it, but don't leave it alone, right?
Right.
Okay. Finally, we are reaching almost at the end of this conversation, Professor Kazita. What message would you like to share with young scientists in developing countries like Nepal?
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this question. Well, as I said, physics or science is a global effort. And if young people are interested in science, interested in understanding the nature, please do not hesitate to do research, to become scientists. Please do not hesitate to become scientists.
Final question, Professor Kazita. Say something about Nepal. This is your third time in Nepal. How do you like this country?
Oh, I like Nepal very much. Whenever I come to Nepal, I'm really excited. If I visit the old temple, I'm really inspired, and I find some similarities between Japanese culture and Nepal culture. So I'm always excited to come here.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your time, your precious time. We were really, really honored to have you in our studios of NTV World. Looking forward to your Hyper-Kamiokande experiment, which will be a carry forward from what you have left. Thank you so much, Professor Kazita, for your time, for your thoughts. We are really honored to have you in the studios of NTV World. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was indeed an honor for the entire team of NTV World to have world-renowned researcher, physician, the Nobel laureate 2015, Professor Takaaki Kazita. In this episode of Declassified, we tried to explore the cosmos, the universe, the findings of Japanese Nobel Prize-winning physics professor Takaaki Kazita. I know for many of us, the findings of the research that Professor Takaaki Kazita made may not come to our day-to-day life, but the lesson from Professor is, to the scientists, to the researchers, do not hesitate to do research. Do not look for immediate fruits. And for the government, please do make sizable investment in research so that the future of humanity can be shaped in a better way and the world can be a better place for all. Thank you so much for your presence in this episode of Declassified. Until next time, from the entire crew, it's me, Devendra Subedi, saying bye-bye.
The Pacific region has had a significant impact on the globe, thanks to its crystal oceans, tropical fruits, distinct customs and culture, and friendly inhabitants. Vanuatu, an island nation out of 30,000 Pacific islands, significantly relies on tourism for its economy, lifestyle, and culture. However, the main threat to Vanuatu's tourism economy is the island's nation's propensity for natural disasters, including cyclones, earthquakes, flooding, and volcanic eruptions. Vanuatu is now recovering from Category 4 twin cyclones Judy and Kevin, which destroyed all 83 of its islands and left people without access to water, food, or shelter at night. And Efate is the main island severely damaged. Lelife Resort, a well-known tourist destination on this island, is progressively being rebuilt after being damaged by the cyclones. The resort's sole driver, Jacques Nanette, shares his experience of how he has invested in renewable energy in order to survive these ongoing tragedies.
So historically, I come from an island very similar to Vanuatu called Mauritius. It's a tropical island. I call myself an island boy. I love the islands. I grew up on the reef. I grew up in the islands. So it's my home, you know. And when I came to Vanuatu, we bought this property, which is some 670 acres. And, you know, we are very much aware of climate change and the damage that's being done around the world with everything to do with climate, the world heating up and so on and so forth. So when we came to Vanuatu, we knew that we would be building a resort and that we were very much at risk of doing a considerable amount of damage if we did things in the normal way. You know, we wouldn't be helping the situation. We'd be probably would be part of the cause of climate change and instead of being the solution. So we very much wanted to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Jacques is aware that the resort and the environment would benefit greatly from depending on renewable resources rather than producing more greenhouse gas emissions that would cause climate change.
So from day one, we decided that we'd be very careful about what trees we would cut down, what trees we would not touch at all. We're very much aware of the reef, and we try to do our best to keep the reef to a very good and high standard. And it's not easy because the villagers do a lot of damage to the reef by walking on them and so on and so forth. But we wanted to do our best. So when it actually came to the construction of the resort, then we decided to go solar. We decided to catch our own water, so we've got all the rainwater is being caught in tanks, and our carbon footprint. When you look at our carbon footprint, it's extremely low.
Lelife Resort has a low carbon footprint when compared to other tourist destinations on the island because of how little gas it produces. The resort's daily operations are powered by 12 kilowatt of solar energy throughout the year.
This is the nerve centre. So here we run quite a decent size inverter, 2 regulators. Everything's checked through my phone. I just use my phone to check all the power levels. So I don't have to come here. I just check on my computer or on my phone. So this is a Victron system, and then we've got in these cabinets here, we've got all lithium batteries. That's one of them. We've got 9 lithium batteries, 4 on that side, 4 on that side, and 2 here. Lithium batteries that actually power the whole, everything that we have. So that's the power center, nerve center for power. And also, just want to let you know that the most important thing, or a very, very important thing, is to have a lot of solar panels, right? Like a lot of people make the mistake of putting big systems in, but they don't have enough solar panels. We have extra solar panels which we're about to put up, Because if we have a lot of solar panels, even on a bad day like that, we still can capture enough power to charge these batteries. So we're going very strong on solar panels.
The water supply for the resort is derived from 3 different sources, which are all crucial services on which the survival of the resort depends.
All right, so our watering system here, basically we've got 5 bungalows directly behind you there, the colourful bungalows, and each one of those bungalows catches water, goes underground to that pipe here, and all the water from all the bungalow goes through into these tanks here. So that pipe there is full of water. That's full of water, and it goes all the way and catches the water. These 2 tanks actually catch the water for the whole this side of the resort, and we've got 3 systems like that. That's our number 1 system, and we've got another 2 which do exactly the same thing. One in the restaurant and then one near the farmhouse. So we've got 3 electrical roads, 3 watering areas. And one of the reasons why we've done 3 is because if something goes wrong with one, we've got another one.
Making use of the massive land Jacques owns, he cultivates parts of it as subsistence farming for both crops and livestock to supply the resort. However, the resort encounters difficulties due to persistent storms that disrupt the resort's operational supply. Jacques gave an example of the first day incident from Cyclone Judy.
Back area. We suffered major damage. The only time that I sort of felt a little bit edgy was when I was stuck under a table and I couldn't move, and I knew that I was underwater. The water was completely black, I couldn't see anything at all, and I couldn't get out because my head was hitting the top of the table. And then I thought, for a moment, okay, this can't be very good for my health, fundamentally. And before I had time to really start panicking or anything else, because I was obviously thinking like, yeah, let's follow the trail of the water. The water actually sucked me back out again as it receded back to the sea. It pulled me out. So I spent 14 seconds underwater.
Jacques struggles to provide the resort with a similar amount of produce. It's also difficult when there are sad events like the recent tropical cyclones Judy and Kevin, because the resort is trying to recover by growing more crops for its visitors.
We have to try and manage what we want. Sometimes, we have too many pawpaws. Other times we have too many kumara, but we don't have any green boon, or we don't have, to try and manage the whole process. It's very difficult. The cyclone has been very, very bad for us. It's been probably now almost 6-8 weeks, huh?
Yes.
We've not got any fruit, so we have absolutely 0 fruit, no vegetables, because the cyclone has bulldozed everything. So now we're just starting again to get some fresh fruit. So the management and working out what we need, what we don't need, what we're going to have too much of, that's really important.
The major power and water supply station in Port Vila, UNELCO, does not completely supply electricity to the island of Efate, where Lelife Resort is located. Lelife Resort is in the eastern portion of the island, where most residents rely on solar power systems to receive electricity. Although UNELCO will soon expand its services all around the island, Jacques refuses and is determined about sticking with renewable energy and the resort's own water system so he can manage the provision of water and electricity to his visitors and ensure that they can still use the internet to stay in touch with family and friends who are far away in the event of a disaster in Vanuatu.
45 minutes flight across 214 kilometers, we landed at the Simikot airport. It was a great relief to land in Simikot for us, who had spent few days in hot Nepalganj. The cool breeze welcomed us to our great expectations. According to locals, Simikot got its name with the combination of Simi and Kot. Indeed, it is the combination of Sim meaning wetland and Kot meaning green meadow. Simikot is a major point for pilgrims traveling to Mount Kailas and Mansarovar in Tibet via Hilsa. This is the easiest way to the Mansarovar, and thus many Indian pilgrims are seen here.
मेन त यो हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ तपाईको अब भनौं न अब कैलाश मानसरोवरकै गेटवे भएकोले एउटा यहाँ आउने भयो। अब हामीलाई पनि अब भनौं न तपाईको हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ अब तपाईको यो सदरमुकाम मेन ल्यान्डिङ पोइन्ट हो हैन। अब यहाँबाट तपाईको पर्यटकहरुलाई जस्तै हाम्रो यहाँ रलिङ गुम्बाहरु छ, खारबुनाथ मन्दिरहरु छ हैन। अब जस्तै यहाँ तपाईको एकदम के भन्छ प्राकृतिक सुन्दरताहरु हेर्ने ठाउँहरु थुप्रै छ। किनभने हामीले त्यो ठाउँहरुलाई चाहिँ फोकस गर्न नसकेर बाहिर ल्याउन नसकेर मात्र हो। अब ल्याउन सक्यो भने पर्यटनहरु आवश्यक नै बढी मात्रामा बढ्छ भन्ने आशा छ।
We arrived Simikot with a throng of travelers to Humla, comprising some domestic and foreign tourists. Soon our team became a cozy group of travelers. We traveled together to Limi of Namkha, among the 7 rural municipalities of the district: Simikot, Namkha, Kharpunath, Chankheli, Sarkegard, Adnacholi and Tanjakot. The jeep ride in the gravel road is some kind of experience in this majestic terrain. However, we were disturbed by the landslides at various places of the rural road and left to travel on foot. We arrived at Chaudan Foya after a few hours of walk, but our overnight stay was still a few hours trek to Dharapuri. We stopped at many places on our way just to capture the natural beauty of the place and feel the magic in the air. These hills and the spontaneous Karnali river kept inspiring us. And on the way we see many stories of hope, determination and struggle of the locals. It was almost dusk, but our destination was still at some distance. So we increased our pace along with the local children accompanying us. We are thankful to these kids, without whom we would not have been able to know some of the very well-known places on the way. Almost 8:30 in the evening, we were still struggling to find the house where we were supposed to spend the night. Now our team was no more intact, as all had their own arrangements in small groups. We had no option but to find a place to rest for the night. We were overwhelmed by the humility and warmth of the local people. They offered a bunch of unknown travelers food and accommodation with open heart. This reminded us of the slogan, "Guest is God," in real terms. Not the most affluent of the societies, but very welcoming at heart. In need, but have the humility. Poverty-ridden, but full of humanity. We salute the rural folks who mess around the year in this inhospitable terrain for survival. The next morning, we all get together. Our next destination was Kermi. The whistling sound of Karali flowing down somewhere, the rocky hills and the small trails like ropes attached in these hills. Risky and dangerous. Not the best of conditions for trekking, but that's where the thrill is. That's where the adventure is. The waterfalls and ponds on the way relieve us from our fatigue instantly. Chachara is one of the biggest waterfalls in this place. The soothing touch of the crystal clear water of the fall is refreshing. Our lunch was at Dade Kermi, where small tents were set up by the locals to serve food and some rest for travelers. The Chinese stoves used here are smokeless and must have eased the life of the rural folks to a larger extent. We had seen these types of stoves in Dharapuri as well. Before starting another long day of trek after lunch, we had a little rest here. Our journey to Limi is still a long way to finish. We also did not get any chance of hitchhiking as no vehicle was plying on the road due to landslide obstructions. Our journey was getting arduous by the hour, but we did not miss the chance to enjoy the natural wonder of the region. Agriculture and cattle are the main profession of the people here. People raise yaks in this rugged terrain, though they have to migrate in winter to find better grazing land locally called kharka for their prized possessions. We found herds of yaks at different places on the way. We even stopped at one of these grazing camps for a cup of tea. This place is called Lashing. The tea served here is special, with ghee and salt added for extra energy in the cold temperature. No wonder some of us were enjoying this tea for the first time. To our great relief, we got the news that a goods-laden truck was heading towards Limi from Tibet of China. However, we still had some distance to cover to catch the truck. We all wanted to rush with the hope to reach there in time to get a lift. At the moment, we are at Chanso, where there is not enough place for our jumbo team to spend the night. Finally, we decided to spend the night in Chanso itself, as the way ahead was more difficult and riskier. Two families had set up their yak camps here and living in 2 tents. Our big team had to divide and accommodate in these 2 tents for the night. We squeezed in for the night anyhow. It's a beautiful morning with bright blue sky, surrounded by tall hills, waterfalls and the whistling Karnali. It was nothing less than a piece of heaven on earth. We mingled with the locals for some times.
गाह्रै छ पानी पनि यहाँ समस्या छ दाउरा पनि समस्या छ यहाँ गाह्रै छ गाह्रो त यस पुल पनि समस्या छ यहाँ नराम्रो ठाउँमा बसेको छ यहाँ यस चिसो ठाउँमा यस्तो समस्या छ
यहाँ हामीसँग धेरै चुनौतीहरू पनि छ जस्तै एक्सेसको कुरा गर्ने हो भने रोड राम्रो बनिसकेको छैन अनि त्यसपछि तपाईको सञ्चारहरू छैन बाटोमा टी शपहरू छैन त्यसपछि त्यही अनुसार जस्तै टुरिज्म व्यवसायको लागि चाहिएको तपाईको के भन्छ यो के रे ह्युमन रिसोर्सहरू पनि राम्रोसँग दक्ष छैन हैन
We had to climb up to the altitude of 4,800 meters to reach Limi. We decided to travel on horses as we were too tired to walk now. We managed horses for our team and set out on our way. We stopped at a beautiful natural pond, locally known as Selima. No one has dared to measure the depth of this pond till date. No one is aware of the mathematics of this ancient natural lake. We also moved ahead with the enthusiasm as to why. No one knows it. 2 hours on the horseback, we arrived at Nyalul Langna at an altitude of 4,800 meters above sea level. Surrounded by white mountains and hills, we found 2 Chinese trucks ready to leave for Limi. It took some effort to climb onto these huge carriers. Around 100 people had boarded on each truck. The local people were also waiting for the truck to depart like we were. The gravelled road and overloaded trucks. The ride was not very comfortable, but we did not have much option either to move ahead. After around 5 hours rough ride, we arrived at Halji village of Limi. Three villages, Tili, Halji and Jang, were collectively called Limi. It was almost evening by the time we reached Halji. The sight of Karnali snaking between the hills, symmetrical houses, green meadows, and the hearty welcome of the locals relieved of our fatigue. Cattle, farming and trade were the main profession of the Denizens of Halji. Yak, growing uwa, a special grain used in making liquor, and traveling to and from Taklakut via Hilsa for trade is part of their life for the locals. Despite the beauty of this magical land, it's far away from tourism. Hardly 50 tourists from outside set their foot on this area every year. The millennium-old Halji monastery, built by Locha Warinche Samo, is the pride of this place. Monk Samo had built this monastery as the last of his 108 structures around the world. Monk Samo is believed to have died while constructing this monastery. The ancient heritage, at the risk of landslide, awaits preservation and promotion.
दायाँको त्यहाँ पहिरोको डर छ यहाँ हैन त्यहाँ बायाँको त्यही डोरीको दुख छ प्रत्येक ढुङ्गाको धेरै दुख छ बिचमा खानु पाउनको पेटको दुख छ यहाँ धेरै आवश्यक छ के छ यहाँ गुम्बा विधानमा त्यही सबै ती पुरानो लिङ्ग मूर्ति माटोमा लिगेर ती बिग्री जान्छ
We had the opportunity to see the local culture and lifestyle during our trek in Limi. What impressed us the most was the dress, including local bakhu, sonba, chino and quinoa bread. Mount Kailas and the Man Sarovar in China are clearly visible from Lapcha of Limi. 7 to 8 hours of truck ride from Halji, we can reach there. We were very much eager to see the Man Sarovar and Mount Kailas, so we went to Limi. But to our bad luck, the weather did not help us. We waited for some time for the weather to clear, but there was no sign whatsoever, and we returned disappointed. Had the weather been kind, this was the sight we would have been able to see. Our journey to Limi thus ended on a sad note. We head back to Simikot and Nepalganj and finally to Kathmandu. Back in Kathmandu, every scene and sight we saw on the way is coming back in flashback. Being in this place itself is a treat to the eyes and mind. You forget all the fatigue and physical pain once you reach in this oasis. Undoubtedly, Humla, bordering Mugu, Bajura, Bazan and China towards the north, is a piece of heaven on earth.
India's western state of Maharashtra has been rocked by a deadly aviation accident after an aircraft carrying Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar crashed during landing in Pune district on Wednesday morning. Pawar and 4 others on board were killed when the plane went down in the Baramati area, about 100 kilometers from the city of Pune. Authorities said preliminary reports are still unclear on whether the incident was caused by a technical failure or a crash landing. Emergency responders from the local administration and aviation authorities rushed to the site and began rescue and recovery operations. Officials said further details will be released as investigations into the cause of the accident continue. A South Korean court has sentenced former First Lady Kim Kyun-hee to 20 months in prison for accepting luxury gifts from a church described by authorities as cult-like, while acquitting her of stock manipulation and campaign finance violations. The 53-year-old wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol was found guilty of corruption after the court ruled she abused her proximity to power for personal gain, though prosecutors had sought a 15-year sentence. Kim denied wrongdoing but had previously apologized for her conduct, saying she made mistakes despite holding no official position. The verdict follows years of controversy that overshadowed Yoon's presidency, including allegations of graft and influence peddling, and comes as both Kim and Yoon are now in custody on separate cases. A French court has convicted former Senator Joël Gouraud of drugging a fellow lawmaker with ecstasy with the intent to sexually assault her, sentencing him to 4 years in prison, including 18 months behind bars. The case stems from an incident in November 2023 when National Assembly member Sandrine Josso fell ill after drinking champagne at Gouraud's Paris apartment, with toxicology tests later confirming the presence of MDMA. Kuru denied sexual intent and claimed the drugging was accidental, but prosecutors argued he deliberately administered the substance, abusing his position as an elected official. The verdict comes amid heightened public scrutiny in France following other high-profile cases involving drug-facilitated sexual crimes. Kuru, who resigned from the Senate last year, has said he will appeal against the ruling. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that a Democratic victory in the November midterm elections would lead to what he described as very bad things as he launched his campaign push in Iowa.
If we lose the midterms, you'll lose so many of the things that we're talking about, so many of the assets that we're talking about, so many of the tax cuts that we're talking about. And it would lead to very bad things. We got to win the midterms. I mean, I'm here because I love Iowa, but I'm here because we're starting the campaign to win the midterms. We got to win the midterms.
His remarks come amid heightened political tensions following the fatal shooting of a nurse by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis, an incident now under review for possible breaches of protocol. The White House says the administration may scale back some operations in the city while insisting there is no full pullback from immigration enforcement. The situation intensified after Democratic lawmaker Ilhan Omar was attacked with a syringe at a town hall meeting, prompting renewed debate over security and immigration policy. The developments underscore deep divisions in the United States as immigration enforcement, public safety, and the upcoming midterm elections converge. U.S. Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was targeted during a town hall speech in Minneapolis when a man sprayed an unidentified liquid at her from a syringe before being tackled by security. The incident occurred as Omar was criticizing federal immigration enforcement amid heightened tensions following recent protests in the city after the fatal shootings of 2 U.S. citizens by immigration agents. Minneapolis police said the suspect was taken into custody and Omar was not seriously injured. Despite the disruption, Omar continued her speech, calling for resilience and condemning political violence. The attack has raised fresh concerns about the safety of public officials during a period of intense political polarization in the United States. The United Nations Security Council has voted to end its monitoring mission in Yemen's Red Sea port city of Hodeidah, which was set up to oversee a ceasefire in the long-running conflict. 13 of the Council's 15 members backed the move, citing restricted operations and growing security concerns for UN staff, while Russia and China abstained. The mission, known as UNMHA, has been in place since 2019 following fighting between Yemen's internationally recognized government and the Iran-aligned Houthi movement. UN officials said the operating environment has narrowed as the conflict has evolved and UN personnel have faced repeated detentions. The decision comes amid warnings that Yemen's humanitarian crisis, already described as the world's worst, is expected to deepen as food insecurity and aid shortages worsen. France's lower house of parliament has approved legislation to ban access to social media platforms for children under the age of 15, a move backed by President Emmanuel Macron and now awaiting Senate approval. Supporters say the measure sends a strong signal about protecting young users from online harm, but experts and parents have raised concerns about enforcement and age verification loopholes. Child protection groups say the law will only be effective if a robust and reliable system is put in place to verify users' ages. Teenagers themselves appear divided, with some acknowledging the negative impact of excessive social media use, while others say they plan to bypass the restrictions. France would become the first European country to introduce such a ban, following similar steps taken by Australia. Over 1,000 swans have transformed a wetland in Yining County, northwest China's Xinjiang region, into a winter wonderland, drawing crowds of tourists. The snow-covered landscape, combined with the birds' shimmering white feathers, has created a striking scene. Since last October, thousands of swans, mostly mute swans, have arrived to spend the winter at Swan Spring Lake. Tourists say the sight of the birds against a snowy backdrop is breathtaking, with some capturing moments of the swans forming heart shapes. Thanks to the underground hot springs, the lake remains largely unfrozen, providing a crucial winter habitat for the swans.
चारैतिर हरियाली नै हरियालीको बीचमा चराचुरुङ्गीहरू बात मार्दै गरेका, हावाले संगीत भर्दै गरेको अनि माटोले आत्मीयता देखाएको यो पावन भूमि हो दक्षिणकाली। काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाबाट 18 किलोमिटरको दूरीमा रहेको दक्षिणकाली हिन्दू अनि बौद्ध धर्मावलम्बीका लागि विशेष ठाउँ हो। हिन्दू धर्मका प्रख्यात गुरु गोरखनाथ र बौद्ध धर्मका प्रख्यात गुरु रिम्पोछे अर्थात् पद्म सम्भवले ध्यान गरेको र सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको यो विशेष भूमि हो। यो यही भूमि हो जहाँ माता दक्षिणकाली वास गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यसैले त यहाँको हावा र माटोले आकर्षित गर्छ, मधुरता दिन्छ। यो ठाउँमा पाइला टेक्नुले मात्र पनि ऊर्जा प्रदान गर्छ, जीवन सफल भएको आभास हुन्छ। कमलको फूलबाट अलौकिक रूपमा जन्म भएको मानिएका पद्म सम्भव, जसलाई तिब्बती भाषामा गुरु रिम्पोछे भनिन्छ, उनी गुरुले ध्यान गरेर सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको ठाउँ फर्पिङ दक्षिणकालीमै छ। भनिन्छ बुद्ध धर्मका ज्ञाता पद्म सम्भव तिब्बतमा बुद्ध धर्मको जग बसाल्न जाँदै गर्दा धेरै वर्ष नेपालको फर्पिङमा बस्नुभयो। यो असुरा गुफा हो। गुरु पद्म सम्भवले ध्यान र साधना गरी सिद्धि प्राप्त गरेको ठाउँ। फर्पिङ बजारबाट दायाँ लागि केही उकालो हिँडेपछि गुफा पुग्ने भर्याङ देख्न सकिन्छ। अनगिन्ती सिँढीहरू चढेर गुफा पुगेपछि छुट्टै आनन्द आउँछ। विशाल चट्टानभित्र सानो कोठा छ जहाँ पद्म सम्भवको मूर्ति राखिएको छ र दीप प्रज्वलन गरिएको छ। अनि छेवैमा एक लामा मन्त्र उच्चारण गरी ध्यानमा लीन हुनुहुन्छ। आन्तरिक पर्यटकहरू नदेखिएको यो ठाउँमा विदेशी पर्यटकहरू पनि आउँदा रहेछन्। विशेष गरी चीन, ताइवान, मंगोलिया र भुटान लगायतका देशबाट यहाँ भ्रमणका लागि आउने गर्दछन्। यो बौद्ध मार्गीको एक पवित्र तीर्थस्थल हो जहाँको भ्रमण बिना तीर्थाटन अधुरो हुने गर्दछ। यही शिलामा हातका ठ्याक्कै 5 औँलाको डाम छ। स्थानीयका अनुसार यो हातको डाम गुरु पद्म सम्भवका शिष्यको हो। भूलवश हातको डाम रहन गएपछि ती शिष्य पश्चातापमा गएको भनाइ छ। यसै गरी अर्को एउटा भनाइ पनि प्रख्यात छ जसले यो हातको डाम गुरु पद्म सम्भवकै भएको बताउँछ। त्यसैले त यहाँ आउने पर्यटकहरू यहाँ आफ्नो हात राखेर पद्म सम्भवसँग ऊर्जा र आशीर्वाद माग्छन्। इतिहासमा पद्म सम्भवलाई अलौकिक शक्ति मानिन्छ, जसले नकारात्मक ऊर्जा सजिलै परास्त गरी न्याय र शान्ति प्रदान गर्ने विश्वास गरिन्छ। यही गुफासँगै गुरु गोरखनाथको पाइला पनि रहेको छ। गुरु पद्म सम्भव ध्यान र साधनाका लागि यता आउनु भएको थाहा पाएर हिन्दू धर्मका प्रख्यात गुरु गोरखनाथ पनि यो ठाउँ केही वर्ष बसी ध्यान गरेर जानु भएको हो भन्ने भनाइ छ। गुफाका सिँढीहरू झर्दै गर्दा शिलामा स्वयं उत्पन्न भएको मानिएको गणेश र सरस्वतीको मूर्ति पनि छ। एउटा सानो कुण्ड अनि त्यसमाथि कमलको फूल, यस्तै स्वरूप बनाएर पद्म सम्भवको गजबको ठूलो मूर्ति राखिएको छ। विभिन्न भाव भङ्गिमामा रहेको पद्म सम्भवको प्रतिमा निकै नै सजीव देखिन्छ। यहाँ बसेर मजाले ध्यान गर्न सकिन्छ। यो ठाउँ अलौकिक शक्तिले भरिएको आभास हुन्छ। जो कोहीको अस्थिर मन पनि यहाँ शान्त बन्न सक्छ। यो असुरा गुफा र फर्पिङमै रहेको याङ्लेश्वर गुफा गुरु पद्म सम्भवले आवत जावतका लागि प्रयोग गर्न गरिएको पनि स्थानीय विश्वास छ। यहाँ पनि पद्म सम्भवको सानो मूर्ति राखिएको छ र दीप प्रज्वलित गरिएको छ। यहाँ रहेको चट्टानको बीचमा टाउको अड्याउन मिल्ने ठाउँ छ, जहाँ टाउको राखेमा आनन्द प्राप्ति हुने स्थानीयको विश्वास छ। यो यही परिसर हो जहाँ शेष नारायणको मन्दिर छ। यो उपत्यकाको 4 नारायण मध्ये एक हो। दिशंखु नारायण, इचंगु नारायण, चांगु नारायण र शेष नारायण काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाका 4 प्रमुख नारायण मन्दिरहरू हुन्। यही मन्दिरको ठिक माथि चट्टानमा विभिन्न आकृतिहरू देख्न पाइन्छ, जसलाई भक्तजनहरू विभिन्न रूप मानेर श्रद्धा गर्छन्। कामधेनु गाईको थुन, गणेश अनि शेषनागको आकृतिका रूपमा देखिने यी स्वरूपहरूमाथि भक्तजनहरूको गहिरो विश्वास छ। यसै मन्दिर प्रवेश स्थलमा एउटा सानो कुण्ड पनि छ, जहाँ ससानादेखि ठूलठूला असला र रङ्गी बिरङ्गी माछाहरू छन्। यहाँ केही जोडी कछुवा पनि छन्। यस कुण्डमा बौद्ध मार्गीहरूले आफ्ना मनोकांक्षा पूरा भएको खुशियालीमा रङ्गी बिरङ्गी माछाहरू छोड्ने गर्दछन्। अनि यिनै माछाहरू हेर्न यहाँ ससाना बालबालिकादेखि ठूलासम्म आउने गर्दछन्। यहाँ आनन्दको अनुभव गर्दै ध्यानमा लीन हुनेहरूको पनि कमी छैन। यहाँको अर्को विशेष भनेको वज्र योगिनी मन्दिर हो। वज्र योगिनी एक तान्त्रिक देवी हुनुहुन्छ। वज्रयाना र महायानामा वज्र योगिनीको स्थान उच्च छ। समृद्ध र सुखी जीवनयापनको मनोकामना राख्दै भक्तजनहरू यहाँ आउने गर्दछन्। साथै ज्ञान प्राप्तिका लागि यस ठाउँको भ्रमण गर्नेहरू पनि धेरै छन्। आशाका दीपहरू बलिरहेका, खुशीका स्वरहरू गुन्जिरहेका यी ठाउँहरू साँच्चै विशिष्ट छन्। यसै विशिष्टताको अर्को नाम हो दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर। यो मन्दिरमा विभिन्न मनोकामना राखेर दर्शन गर्न आउनेहरूको भिड नै लाग्ने गर्दछ। यहाँ विशेष गरी शनिबार, मंगलबार र बिहीबार भिड लाग्ने गर्दछ। दशैंमा यहाँ विशेष पूजा हुने गर्दछ। यहाँ छिमेकी मुलुक भारतबाट पनि दर्शनार्थीहरू आउने गर्छन्। यहाँ आउने भक्तजनका लागि पनि खाजा, नास्ता अनि पूजा सामग्रीका पसलहरू राखिएका छन्। यही मन्दिरको ठिक माथि माताको मन्दिर छ, जुन दक्षिणकालीको माताको हो भनिन्छ।
दक्षिणकाली नगरपालिका आर्थिक रूपमा अलि विपन्न हो, तर सांस्कृतिक ऐतिहासिक थलोको रूपमा चाहिँ दक्षिणकाली नगरपालिका धनी नगरपालिकाको रूपमा पर्छ। उदाहरणको लागि माता दक्षिणकालीको मन्दिर पुर्खौँदेखि चाहिँ दक्षिणकाली माताको आशीर्वाद लिने भक्तजनहरूको प्रशस्त मात्रामा चाहिँ आगमन पाइन्छ। प्राचीन दक्षिणकाली, जहाँ माता दक्षिणकाली पहिला त्यहाँ उहाँको वासस्थान, पछि चाहिँ किम्वदन्ती अनुसार पछि तल सरेको भन्ने खालको जुन छ, त्यो मन्दिर पनि एकदम अत्यन्त सुन्दर बनिसकेको छ। र असुरा गुफाबाट मास्तिर जाँदाखेरि सिँढी माथिसम्मै जोडिएको छ र त्यहाँ पानीको केही व्यवस्था पनि छ, सबै कुरा व्यवस्था छ र त्यहाँ पनि नहेरी नहुने ठाउँको रूपमा छ। विदेशी पर्यटकहरू अहिले पनि हालसाल पनि आइराख्नु भएको, सधैँभरि आउने बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको पवित्र भूमि, गुरु रुम्बुचेले तपस्या सिद्धि गरेको थलो असुरा गुफादेखि लिएर चाहिँ पवित्र यहाँ चाहिँ बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको मठ मन्दिर भएको कारणले यहाँ हिन्दू मात्र नभइकन बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको पनि प्रशस्त यहाँ सम्भावना छ, आइराख्नु भएको छ। अझ थपेर आउनको लागि पनि यहाँ चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई बसोबासको लागि बुद्ध मार्गीहरूले वासस्थानको पनि राम्रो व्यवस्था मिलाइराखेको छ। र यहाँ आइसकेपछि असुरा गुफा र धेरै यस्ता चाहिँ मठ मन्दिरहरू, बुद्ध मार्गीहरूको मठ मन्दिरहरू भएको ठाउँ भएको कारणले यहाँहरूको टेलिभिजन मार्फत पनि यो कुरालाई उजागर गरिदिन सक्यो भने पर्यटकहरू अवश्य पनि कहाँ घुमौँ, कहाँ जाँदा राम्रो हुन्छ भन्ने अन्योल भइराखेको बेलामा दक्षिणकाली एउटा चाहिँ पर्यटकको लागि गन्तव्य स्थल हो भन्ने कुरा अलिकति हामी कार्यक्रम मार्फत पनि दिन सक्यौँ भने त्यो बढ्छ।
खासमा दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर यहाँ भन्दा फरक ठाउँमा थियो। फर्पिङको माथि जंगलमा रहेको दक्षिणकाली मन्दिर जानेहरू हराउन थालेपछि त्यसबेलाका राजा प्रताप मल्ललाई दक्षिणकाली माताले आफूलाई हाल रहेको ठाउँमा सारिदिनु भन्ने सपनामा देखाएपछि हालको ठाउँमा मन्दिर बनाइ सारिएको भन्ने कथन छ।
राजा प्रताप मल्लको राज्यकाल भन्दा पनि धेरै पहिला त्यस अवस्थाको मूर्ति फर्पिङ सहर शिखरको घना जङ्गलमा थियो। त्यहाँ मान्छेहरू जान डराउने र हराउने के, मान्छे जस्तै 100 जना गयो कि 1 जना हराउने के। त्यो भएपछि राजा प्रताप मल्ललाई साक्षात् कि दक्षिणकाली देवी सपनामा प्रकट भएर मलाई यो अप्रकाशित मूर्ति थियो त्यतिखेर मलाई प्रकाशित मूर्तिमा प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गरेर दुई नदीको सङ्गम चौक जस्तै पूर्णावती गङ्गा र उदारवती गङ्गाको बिचमा मलाई विराजमान गर र त्यस अवस्थामा प्रताप मल्लको पालोमा महामारीको भय थियो क्या त्यो भय पनि निवारण हुन्छ भनेर अनि प्रताप मल्लले दक्षिणकालीको मूर्ति स्थापना गराएको थियो। अब मूर्ति स्थापना गराउँदा पहिला मूर्ति बनाउँदाखेरि त्यो प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गर्दाखेरि त्यस मूर्तिमा प्राण प्रतिष्ठा भएन। त्यो मूर्ति अहिले हनुमान ढोकामा छ। अनि त्यसपछि दोस्रो फेरि प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गरेर गुरु लमकर्ण भट्टले विधिका साथ होइन अब जस्तै नरबली सर्प सब बलि सहित प्राण प्रतिष्ठा गरेर यहाँ विराजमान गराएको हो। जस्तै यहाँ नजिकै मुसान पनि छ। अनि देवीको दायाँबाट क्रमशः गणेश भैरव ब्रह्मायनी महेश्वरी कुमारी वैष्णवी बाराई इन्द्रायणी चामुण्डा बिचमा दक्षिणकालीमा विराजमान हुनुहुन्छ। यहाँ प्रत्येक चाहिँ अब भिड हुने चाहिँ शनिबार मङ्गलबार बिहिबार हो। अब दसैँमा त भन्नै परेन। अनि यहाँ विशेष पूजा चाहिँ वर्षको दुईचोटि हुन्छ महापूजा वैशाख बढी 13 रोज र अनि भाद्र कृष्ण अष्टमीमा हुने गर्दछ। अब कोही मान्छेको भागल पुरा भएर आउँछन् कोही मेरो भागल पुरा होस् भनेर आउँछन् होइन। यहाँ अब देश विदेश अथवा पूर्व मेचीदेखि पश्चिम महाकालीसम्मको मान्छेहरू आउँछन्। अहिले त यातायातको सुविधा झन् बढी भएको कारण पहिलाभन्दा यहाँ धेरै अब यात्रुहरूको चाप पनि बढी छ। अब दक्षिणकाली आमाले सबैको इच्छा मनको इच्छा पुरा गरेकोले नै यहाँ मान्छेहरू आउने गर्दछ। एउटा आस्था त हो हाम्रो होइन।
यहाँको अर्को धार्मिक तथा ऐतिहासिक रूपमा प्रख्यात ठाउँ हो कटुवाल दह। झोलुङ्गे पुलबाट यो दह पुग्न सकिन्छ। दह भनिए पनि यो ठाउँ खोला बनेको छ। सम्भवतः यो ठाउँ कुनै समयमा दह भएको र कालान्तरमा खोलामा परिणत भएको हुन सक्छ। यहाँ सङ्कटाको सानो मन्दिर पनि छ। यो दहको जल रातो मच्छिन्द्रनाथको जात्रा सुरुवात गर्न अनिवार्य छ। किंवदन्ती अनुसार भारतको आसामबाट रातो मच्छिन्द्रनाथलाई नेपाल ल्याएपछि सुरुमा यही बिसाएर जल चढाइएको थियो। गर्मीमा शीतलता दिने यो ठाउँ आनन्ददायी छ। यहाँको चिसो हावाले मन शान्त पार्नुका साथै ऊर्जा पनि प्रदान गर्छ। यो गोपालेश्वर मन्दिर हो। यहाँ महादेवको ठूलो शिला रहेको छ। 3 तल्ले प्यागोडा शैलीमा निर्माण भएको यो मन्दिर गोपाल वंशमा निर्माण भएको इतिहासमा उल्लेख छ। यसै मन्दिरमा कृष्णले आफ्नो भान्जाको व्रतबन्ध गरेको पनि विश्वास गरिन्छ। यहाँ रहेको चम्पादेवी डाँडा र भस्मासुर डाँडा पदयात्राका लागि एक आकर्षक गन्तव्य हो। चम्पादेवी काठमाडौँ उपत्यका वरिपरि रहेका अग्ला डाँडाहरूमध्ये तेस्रो अग्लो डाँडा हो। यो घना जंगलले घेरिएको छ र यहाँबाट सुन्दर हिम श्रृङ्खलाहरू देख्न सकिन्छ। प्रकृतिको नजिकमा रही आनन्द लिनका लागि दक्षिणकाली एक उत्कृष्ट गन्तव्य हो। त्यसैले त यहाँ रहेका करिब 200 वटा गुम्बा लगायतमा अध्यात्म तथा ध्यान केन्द्रहरू खोलिएका छन्, जहाँ राष्ट्रिय तथा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय व्यक्तित्वहरू ध्यानका लागि आउने गर्छन्।
हाम्रो यहाँ लोकल ग्राहकदेखि बाहिरी टुरिस्टहरू इन्टरनेसनल ग्राहकदेखि सबैजना आउनुहुन्छ। यहाँ चाहिँ नजिक चाहिँ दक्षिणकाली परेको हुनाले र अर्को हाम्रो चाहिँ बुद्धिस्टको चाहिँ पनि ठुलो तीर्थस्थल भएको भएर दुवै सबैजना आउनुहुन्छ। कोही चाहिँ 1-2 दिन पनि बस्छन्, कोही 1 दिन मात्र शुक्रबार प्राय बस्नु भएर शनिबार दर्शन गरेर जानेहरू पनि हुन्छन् भनेदेखि कोही चाहिँ 6-7 दिन बस्ने, कोही 10-15 दिन बस्नेहरू पनि हुन्छन्।
यहाँ घुम्न आउने पर्यटकका लागि खाजा, खाना तथा बास बस्न होमस्टे तथा होटलहरू पनि रहेका छन्। ठुलठुला रिजोर्टदेखि ससाना खाजा पसलहरू रहेकाले यो ठाउँ पर्यटकका लागि सहज छ।
मेरो लगभग 1 वर्ष जति भयो। सधैँ आइन्छ। अब यसो कहिलेकाहीँ यताउता काम पर्यो भने बाहिर हिँडिन्छ, नत्र त प्राय यहीँ हो सधैँ। यहाँ अब शनिबार र पब्लिक होलिडेमा अलिअलि हो, नत्र अरू बार यस्तै नर्मल 500-700 200-400 जे होस् सर्भाइभ हुनलाई भइरहेछ, टाइम पास भइरहेछ। आफ्नै घर नजिक पनि भयो, आफ्नै ठाउँमा केही गरेर खान पनि पाइयो नि त।
दक्षिणकाली नास्पाती र लप्सीका लागि विशेष प्रख्यात छ। दक्षिणकालीको नास्पाती र लप्सी भन्ने बित्तिकै जो कोहीको पनि मुख रसाउँछ। यहाँका खेत बारीहरूमा नास्पाती र लप्सीका रुखहरूले घर बनाएका छन्। एक समान ठडिएका यी रुखहरूमा रहरलाग्दो पाराले नास्पाती फलिरहेका छन् अनि लप्सी पनि। यी लप्सीको यहाँ मिठो क्यान्डी बन्ने गर्छ। केही अमिलो अनि केही गुलियो हुने यी क्यान्डीले धेरैको मुख मिठो बनाएको छ।
लौसी हामीले बोटमै किन्छौँ, बोटै लिएर खेताल लगाएर उ गर्छौँ होइन। अरू यही सामान बनाउने हो। पहिला लौसी झार्ने सिजनमा यस्तो हुन्छ, हामीले कात्तिकको लास्टदेखि सुरु गर्छौँ। कात्तिकको लास्टदेखि पुससम्म। त्योभन्दा अगाडि अलिकति गुदीभरि आउँदैन होइन। त्यो बेला सुरु गरेपछि तल उसिनी ताख्ने काम नै भइरहेको हुन्छ, यहाँ काम नै भइरहेको हुन्छ। दार्जिलिङ पनि जान्छ अहिले चाहिँ प्राय सर्लाहीतिर, अनि पोखरा बढी, अनि काठमाडौँ बढी। काठमाडौँ अनि मेरो यही लोकल बजारमा नै रहेछ। म आफै किन्छु नास्पातीहरू नि, अनि प्राय अलिक ठुला छानेर काठमाडौँ नै बेच्छौँ हामी। काठमाडौँमा अलिक ठुला बेच्छ, अनि तराईतिर इन्डियातिर चाहिँ अलिक ठिक यत्र साइजको पठाउँछौँ। हामी 6 जना छौँ। पहिला त 8-9 जनै छौँ, बच्चाहरू छोरीहरू व्यवहार गयो, अहिले राम्रै छ।
यहाँ धान रोप्दै गरेका किसानहरू भेटिन्छन्, जिम्बु लाउँदै गरेका किसानहरू पनि भेटिन्छन्। जहाँ हेरे पनि हरियाली देखिने यो ठाउँ धार्मिक, ऐतिहासिक र प्राकृतिक सम्पदाले भरिपूर्ण छ। दक्षिणकाली काठमाडौँको नजिकमा रहेको एक आकर्षक पर्यटकीय गन्तव्य हो। प्रकृतिसँग आलिङ्गनका लागि र आध्यात्मिक शान्तिको खोजीका लागि यो ठाउँ एक उपयुक्त गन्तव्य हो। व्यस्त जीवनशैली र कोलाहलबाट मनको शान्ति प्राप्तिका लागि ध्यान तथा साधनामा लीन हुन यो ठाउँ उत्कृष्ट छ। A city known for its legacy, Kirtipur. Locals also call it Kipu in their own dialect. It is the largest ancient settlement after Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur. The city still has an impressive Malla era neighborhood. It is also home to Taudaha, the largest lake in the Kathmandu Valley. There are temples, monasteries, bihars, and stupas for both Hindu and Buddhist devotees, along with countless festivals and ritual celebrations that altogether give Kirtipur its distinct and special character. With its ancient Newar settlements, this place is a beautiful convergence of Newar culture and heritage. The 2nd century settlements here, the temples and the stupas, along with the legends and the faiths surrounding them, are fascinating. Situated beside the Kathmandu Valley, which once was a natural lake itself, Kirtipur developed as a flourishing hub of early settlement and culture. Because of this, the area is exceptionally valuable for historical and cultural study. A long time ago, the children of Kirtipur's farming families apparently made a clay tiger to play with while herding sheep and goats. To make that tiger look even more lifelike, they wanted to add a tongue. So they left their sheep and goats nearby and went into the forest to gather leaves for it. Upon returning, the children found their sheep and goats missing. And when they investigated, the clay tiger opened its blood-red mouth and claimed to have eaten the animals. Apparently, what had happened was that the deity Bhairav, a Hindu deity, had entered the clay tiger. In their anger, the children then cursed the clay tiger so that its mouth would remain perpetually open. This is the famous legend behind the Bagh Bhairav temple as remembered by the residents of Kirtipur. Bagh Bhairav is the revered deity of Kirtipur's residents. Situated in Kirtipur, this temple is accompanied by several smaller temples, many of which can be traced back to the 2nd century according to the historical records. Among them are temples dedicated to Yamaleshwar, Narayan, Bhavani Shankar, Ramchandra, Manavinayak, Vishwakarma, Sridhar Vishnu and Mool Ganesh, all of which were constructed in the 2nd century as per many inscriptions. The historical records mention that the Bagh Bhairav temple, originally made by Shivadev, was again renovated in the 16th century by Jagatpal Varma into a 3-tiered pagoda style. This makes the temple a central attraction of Kirtipur. Most Newar settlements, which are one of Nepal's ethnic groups, are adorned with temples and stupas. So Kirtipur is home to countless temples and stupas as well, too many to count by hand. The Uma Maheshwar temple here is located at the highest point in Kirtipur. From here, one can take in panoramic views of the entire Kathmandu Valley.
Swayambhu, an ancient Buddhist stupa, is clearly visible from this vantage point. It is said that the temple's elevation is roughly the same as that of Swayambhu's. On clear days, the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, can also be seen from here. Uma Maheshwar, representing the Hindu deities of Shiva and Parvati in another form, is considered a symbol of family happiness and love. The temple's tiered roofs, its design, the surrounding houses, and the views are not only beautiful but also reflect its historical significance. It is an excellent place to explore and spend an entire day. Kirtipur is special not only for Hindu devotees but also for Buddhists. Its stupas and bihars are ideal for the study, research, and promotion of Buddhism. The Chilancho Stupa, located atop the hill, is said by historians to have been built during Emperor Ashok's visit to Nepal. Its renovation, however, took place in the 16th century during the time of Jagatpal Varma. This site is ideal for prayer and meditation. It feels like Chilancho spreads wisdom along with its fluttering flags under the open sky. It is said that seeing the hills surrounding the Chilancho Stupa, Prithvinarayan Shaha, the 18th century king who unified Nepal, coveted Kirtipur. His attempts to capture Kirtipur, intended to make conquering Kathmandu, Bhaktapur and Patan easier, only succeeded on the third try. Facing south is Ratnasambhav, mounted on a horse and showing the Varad Mudra, which is a gesture of generosity and granting boons. Facing north is Amitabh, seated on a peacock in the meditation mudra, symbolizing infinite light and compassion. Facing west is Amogha, seated on a Garud with the Nag hood in Abhay mudra, a gesture of fearlessness and protection. At the center sits Vairochan, mounted on a lion and invisible, imparting profound knowledge of Buddhism. The presence of these 5 Buddhas is believed to guide those who have lost their way, whether it is in spiritual seeking or in travel. The stupas, vajras, and stone statues here are enchanting, capable of captivating visitors for hours. In Panga of Kirtipur, there is a cremation site. The deceased of the Panga community are cremated here, but this place is different from others. According to local tradition, one cannot stay behind after setting the body on fire. Normally, in other places in Hindu tradition, after the cremation, the ashes are collected after a process that can take up to hours. Here, however, bodies are covered with 9 pieces of wood for adults and 7 for children, along with water-soaked straw. Then the fire is lit before it is time to leave the site. This tradition is only for the people of Panga. Next to the burial ground stands the Vishnu Devi temple, one of the several Shakti Peeth or sacred power sites of the people of Kirtipur. This stupa houses the Pancha Buddha, the depiction of 5 knowledge of Buddha. Facing east is Akshobhya, mounted on an elephant and with earth-touching gestures. The area is peaceful and known for its spiritual atmosphere. Kirtipur is not only famous for its monasteries and chaityas, it is also rich in history and culture. This place is known for its year-round festivals, rituals, and vibrant cultural way of life. Among the important festivals are the Satgaunle Jatra, Gai Jatra, Bagh Bhairav Jatra, and Indrayani Jatra. On the day of Gai Jatra, a special dance is performed here. The Dhyodhya Papa dance, also called Katmar, is a ceremonial performance where dancers in unique costumes move to traditional music. It is an integral part of Kirtipur's cultural identity. Here, visitors can also find various hotels, homestays, and Newari restaurants. The Newari-style houses and pathways decorated with traditional materials are truly captivating, and the popular Newari restaurants, which draw people from all around, are plentiful. A beautiful example of Newari culture is Newari food, which include famous dishes like bara, yomari, and samay bhaji. And visitors relish these dishes with great enjoyment. Just before entering Kirtipur, you arrive at another beautiful spot, Taudaha. Known for its environmental, cultural, and religious significance, this pond stretches about 500 meters in length and 400 meters in width. It is said to be shaped like a funnel. Believed to be dwelling place of Karkotak Nag, a serpent king in Hindu-Buddhist mythology, this lake is closely linked to the legends of Manjushri, a Hindu-Buddhist mythological figure, and the Rato Machindranath Jatra, one of Nepal's oldest chariot festivals. According to the folklore, when the Kathmandu Valley was still a lake, Manjushri cut open the hills to draw the water. The serpents living there were left without a home, so Bhimsen, a powerful heroic figure in Nepali folklore, created Taudaha to shelter them. The famous photo or vest displayed during the Rato Machindranath Jatra also traces its origins to Karkotak Nagraj and Taudaha. Legend says the vest belonged to Karkotak Nagraj, who gifted it to a farmer after the farmer cured his sick serpent queen. When the farmer later lost the vest, the dispute over who truly owned it became the story behind the festival where the vest is displayed. Taudaha is rich not only in religious and cultural significance but also in biodiversity. The area is home to 38 species of plants, 36 species of insects, and 116 types of birds. Swans gliding across the lake, birds perched in nearby trees, colorful fish swimming below, and small snakes seen occasionally along the banks. All of it make it easy to lose track of time while observing this vibrant ecosystem. In winter, birds migrate here from Siberia, Mongolia, and Tibet to escape the cold. Species such as lahare, kalihas, khoya, malak, and birds like great cormorant and Indian pond heron are also found here at Taudaha. These migratory birds travel thousands of kilometers from various countries to reach this lake. As a wetland area, Taudaha hosts water, land, vegetation, aquatic animals, amphibians, and other wildlife all in one place. For this reason, the lake attracts everyone from casual tourists to students conducting research. As tourist numbers increase, so have vendors selling fish feed around Taudaha. These traders who stay around the lake from morning to evening occasionally also encounter snakes. But believing the snakes to represent Karkotak Nagraj, the traders drive them away by just burning incense. Just before reaching Taudaha, Chobar is a unique tourist spot in Kirtipur. Manjushri Park here is one of the popular picnic destinations. The cave, Chobar Gorge, Suspension Bridge, Jalvinayak Temple, and Adinath Lokeshwar Temple are all must-visit sites. This gorge is said to be where Manjushri cut the hills to drain water from the Kathmandu Valley, making it suitable for human settlement. Therefore, this place holds historical and mythological significance. Jalvinayak Temple is located along the Bagmati River. Among Kathmandu Valley's four main Ganesh temples, Surya Vinayak, Chandra Vinayak, and Ashok Vinayak, Jal Vinayak is one of them. It is built in traditional pagoda style. Toran or archways, doodle or roof struts, and gajur or pinnacles enhance its architectural beauty. So this temple is significant both for religious faith and for historical and architectural value. Spread over 14.76 square kilometers, Kirtipur has many places to explore, which cannot be fully visited in a single day. Its heritage, lifestyle, and festivals are all unique. To guide tourists before visiting, a tourist information and service center has been established. It lies near the Kirtipur's entry point. This center provides information about major tourist attractions and helps make the visit easier. Exploring Kirtipur's historical, religious, cultural, and natural sites is incredibly enchanting. These sites are witnesses to history. For research and study, visiting Kirtipur is essential. The local lifestyle, daily life, the breeze, and the scent of the soil here, all of it are very special. In modern times, as ancient civilizations threaten to vanish, Kirtipur strives to maintain its ancient identity. Its monasteries, temples, chaityas, ponds, markets, and even the language reflect this heritage. Kirtipur is not just a tourist destination. It offers experiences of meditation and knowledge, and of peace and beauty. Its stories and hospitality attract everyone. To witness and feel the unique confluence of history, culture, and nature, visiting Kirtipur is a must, not just once, but again and again.
In the natural splendor, the silver-like peaks or the Himalayas glisten. Cradling a pond filled with milk in its lap, the Numbur Himal gleams. The Dudhkunda, meaning a milk pond in Nepal's northeastern district of Solukhumbu, is truly the gateway to the paradise. The Numbur, Katang and Karyalung mountains seem to smile at all times. Adorned with a garland of colorful flowers, the Dudhkunda is overflowing as if filled with milk. The very sight defines nature at its best. Feels as if the Numbur mountain is giving motherly affection, holding the lake in its lap. The beauty is so serene and virgin that one fears not to stain it by touching. Indeed, Dudhkunda is nature at its purest form. Located at Solu Dudhkunda municipality, Taksindu, the natural paradise draws many visitors. No matter how many words are spent describing it, they all feel inadequate upon reaching there. The name itself is fulfilling and equally sacred.
हजारौं नरनारीहरू चाहिँ तीर्थयात्रीहरू दुधकुण्डमा जानुभएको छ। म पनि पुगेर आएँ। दुधकुण्ड असाध्यै पवित्र स्थल, यो हिमाल काखमा रहेको तीर्थस्थल हो, पुण्यस्थल हो, देवस्थल हो र त्यहाँ चाहिँ एकचोटि पुग्नै पर्दो रहेछ। त्यहाँ पुगेर जुन आनन्दको अनुभूति हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ कहीँ पनि पाइँदैन भन्ने चाहिँ महसुस भयो।
आनन्द लाग्यो, भएन मस्त लाग्यो। अनि यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ आएर तपस्या गरेर बस्नु जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई।
एकदमै राम्रो लाग्यो हैन, प्रकृतिले दिएको रमणीय तीर्थस्थल हैन, जो कोही पनि एकचोटि चाहिँ यहाँ आएर एकचोटि भ्रमण गरेर दर्शन गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्यो।
Situated at an altitude of 4,531 meters above the sea level, Dudhkunda is a sacred pilgrimage site of culture and nature. It feels like nature has blessed this place, and culturally, it has bound all castes and ethnicities in a thread of unity. There are various legends and sayings about Dudhkunda. One argument is that the pond was formed during the creation of the Himalayas and was discovered by local sheep and yak herders. According to another legend, in ancient times, a yak would go to a stone where the pond is located and offer its milk every day. Later, the place was found to be a pond filled with milk, leading to its name, Dudhkunda. This has also led to the belief that gods and goddesses reside here. There are 3 different routes to reach Dudhkunda. One route is through Salleri, Faplu, Taksindu and Sasrabeni. Another route goes via Lukla, the gateway to the Everest, through Nunthala, Taksindu and Sahasrabeni. Nature has truly blessed the Solu Dudhkunda municipality. Truly, just like the majestic Mount Everest, Dudhkunda has the potential to be the destination for everyone in the days to come. It is a thread of unity among all castes and ethnicities. Just like the holy water of Dudhkunda, it will become a pure and excellent destination.
Election Commission issues 3-day deadline to Election Code of Conduct violators to respond, warns of unilateral action otherwise. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in federal capital Kathmandu to be overseen by women returning officers. Nepal faces risk of global blacklisting as weak enforcement hampers efforts to exit international money laundering grey list. Gold and silver prices hit record highs in Nepal as global and domestic demand pushed precious metals up. Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar killed along with 4 others as plane crashes near Pune in Maharashtra of India. And Nepal's Dipender Singh Airi climbs 2 spots to 6th in latest ICC Men's T20 All-Rounder rankings. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsana Marai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. The Election Commission of Nepal has issued 3-day ultimatum to Election Code of Conduct violators to respond. Among the 15 written clarifications sought by the Commission as of Wednesday afternoon, it had only received responses from 5 candidates and political parties. Assistant spokesperson at the Commission, Kul Bahadur GC, has said the number of reported cases is on the rise in the last few days. According to GC, the Commission will give 3 days to every candidate or party violating the Code of Conduct to respond to the Commission. In case the candidates or the parties do not respond, they will get another chance for 3 days after the second letter. Once the second 3-day deadline expires, the Commission will take unilateral action on them based on the nature of the offence. Despite criticism over the low number of women candidates in the March 5 House elections, which is just 11.34%, under the first-past-the-post system, the Election Commission has taken a significant step by placing women in key election management roles. In Kathmandu, which has 10 constituencies, 9 returning officers are women. Across the country, judges have been appointed as chief returning officers in all 77 districts, with judicial officers assisting them. The women-led election management in the federal capital reflects growing institutional trust in women's leadership, aligns with Gen Z demands for inclusion and accountability, and gains added significance as Nepal has its first women prime minister as well. More on this in our issue of the day later in this bulletin. Nepal remains on the international grey list for money laundering as authorities struggle to curb assets generated through corruption, tax evasion, human trafficking and illegal drug trade. According to officials, 20 money laundering cases were filed last year, with 5 more registered in the first 6 months of the current fiscal year. Despite new laws, including restrictions on large cash transactions, enforcement remains weak. We'll dive deeper into this in our cover story of the day's segment later. Gold prices have surged to a record high in Nepal, trading at 318,800 rupees per tola. Silver has also reached an all-time peak of 7,300 rupees per tola. The Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Association has said gold rose by 9,500 rupees in just one day, while silver jumped by over 400 rupees. Stakeholders link the surge to rising international prices, where gold trades around $5,200 per ounce and silver at $111 per ounce. Experts caution investors to monitor market volatility as global trends and local demand continue to drive precious metal prices upward. India's Prime Minister has led tributes to Ajit Pawar, Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra State, who has been killed in a plane crash in the west of the country. Pawar and 4 others died after the chartered plane they were travelling in crashed at the airport in Baramati, Pawar's constituency, on Wednesday morning. India's Civil Aviation Minister said visibility was poor at the airport at the time of the crash. The aviation regulator has launched an investigation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called Pawar's death shocking and saddening
and praised his service to the people of Maharashtra. His funeral will be held on Thursday morning. Pawar was one of Maharashtra's most influential leaders, governing in coalition with India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. Nepal's national cricket team all-rounder Dipender Singh Airi has moved up to 6th position in the latest ICC Men's T20 all-rounder rankings. The International Cricket Council released the updated rankings today, showing Airi climbing 2 positions from his previous standing. Nepal has not played any international matches in the recent ranking period. However, changes in rankings of other players have contributed to Airi's rise. At the top of the ICC T20 all-rounder rankings in Zimbabwe's Sikandar Raza. Pakistan's Saeem Ayub is ranked 2nd, followed by India's Hardik Pandya in 3rd position. West Indies all-rounder Roshan Chase holds the 4th position, while Pakistan's Mohammad Nawaz is ranked 5th. Dipender Singh Airi's movement into the top 6 highlights his continued presence among the leading all-rounders in international T20 cricket. We're going for a short break here. After the break, we take a closer look, in fact, at how women are taking charge of election management in Kathmandu, even as parties fall short on female candidates. Stay with us. You're watching NTV World. Welcome back to News Hour. And now, issue of the day. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in Nepal's federal capital, Kathmandu, will be headed by women this time. Though political parties turned indifferent towards nominating women under first-past-the-post system, the Election Commission, under the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission, has appointed 9 women returning officers in Kathmandu. Sabika Shrestha explores of the increasing women leadership in election management.
Amid much hue and cry over meager women candidates in the March 5 House of Representatives election, the Election Commission has handed the command of federal capital to women returning officers. The political parties turned cold shoulder in implementing the spirit of the Constitution while selecting candidates under first-past-the-post system by only nominating 11.34% women as candidates. 9 of the returning officers in federal capital Kathmandu, that has the highest number of 10 election constituencies, are women. The Commission, on the recommendation of Judicial Service Commission, has appointed the judges in all 77 districts as the chief returning officers for the March 5 election, while 88 second-class gazetted officers in judicial service have been given the responsibility of returning officer. In Kathmandu, Deputy Attorney General Santi Neopani is overseeing constituency number 2, Krishna Bhandari, Deputy Attorney in Patan, is heading Kathmandu 4, while Under Secretary Sarda Rizal from the Ministry of Law is in charge of Kathmandu 5, and Chapala Pokhrel is leading the election in Kathmandu 6. Likewise, Savita Sharma, Kathmandu 7, Samjana Khanal, Kathmandu 8, Menuka Ghimire, Kathmandu 9, and Supreme Court Deputy Registrar Amrita Kumari Sharma is leading this time in Kathmandu 10. The Election Commission's decision to entrust women with the majority of election management responsibilities is being viewed as a reflection of growing institutional confidence in women's leadership.
This practice is for empowering women officers and also developing their leadership, and it indicates that the other women are also in line in line of taking leadership. That's why other women officers and other ladies can also be encouraged to have challenging job. Slowly and gradually, the number of women participation, the number of women leadership is increasing in the candidacy also.
The chief returning officers and returning officers have already started their role from January 9 in designated offices. The women are excited to have been entrusted the job and say these are exciting moments when the country itself has its first women prime minister.
सरकारको नेतृत्व पनि महिलाले गरिरहनु भएको छ हैन नेपालको इतिहास रच्दै हुनुहुन्छ महिलाहरूले हैन महिलाहरू फियर हुन्छन् यिनीहरू फियरली काम गर्न सक्छन् कसैप्रति बायस हुँदैनन् हैन जसरी स्वच्छ निष्पक्ष निर्वाचन भयो भने हाम्रो देशको जनप्रतिनिधि राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर र त्यही स्वच्छताको लागि पनि महिलाहरूको नेतृत्वमा चाहिँ अहिले सायद हुन सक्छ जति हुन त हामीले अहिले निर्वाचन आयोगले न्याय सेवाको महिलाहरू जति हुनुहुन्छ त्यसमा केही पर्सेन्टेज अब हुन त पुरै सबै ठाउँमा त महिला मात्रै त हुनुहुन्न तर भ्यालीमा चाहिँ 3 जना पुरुष हुनुहुन्छ त्योदेखि बाहेक सबैजना महिला हुनुहुन्छ त्यो नाताले पनि के गरियो भनेदेखि महिलाले फेयरली काम गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ काठमाडौँ भनेको त भिडभाड अलि राम्रो नराम्रो दुवै पक्षले अगाडि भएको ठाउँ हो यसमा चाहिँ महिलाहरू सक्षम भएर निस्किन्छन् भनेर नै सायद गरिएको होला भन्ने
The move also resonates with the demands raised by the Gen Z movement, which has consistently called for inclusive participation, shared ownership and accountability across state institutions. As the March 5 polls approach, the women-led election management in Kathmandu sends a strong message. Women are not only capable of safeguarding democracy, but are increasingly shaping it. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Samir Thapa reporting for NTV World.
And in this context, today in our Public Pulse segment, we asked members of the public how they view women leading election management in Nepal's federal capital. Here's what they had to say.
महिला नै अहिले प्रधानमन्त्री जुन पहिला प्रधान न्यायाधीश पनि हुनुहुन्थ्यो पूर्व न्यायाधीश प्रधानमन्त्रीलाई चाहिँ निर्वाचन गराउनकै लागि जिम्मेवारी दिएको छ र त्यो सहित काठमाडौँ जस्तो ठाउँमा र उपत्यका ललितपुर र भक्तपुरमा समेत महिलालाई नै निर्वाचन अधिकृतको विश्वास गरेर खटाएको छ र महिला निर्वाचन अधिकृतहरूले चाहिँ एकदमै सौहार्दपूर्ण वातावरणमा निर्वाचन सम्पन्न गर्न राज्यले अपेक्षा गरेको छ र त्यो पूरा हुने पनि हामीले विश्वास चाहिँ लिनुपर्दछ
महिलाहरू सधैँ घरमा मात्रै पीडित नभएर यसरी उठेर अघि बढ्नु भन्ने हाम्रो पनि चाहना छ उहाँहरूलाई हामी सम्मानको स्वरूप गर्नेछौँ उहाँहरूले यस्तो मौका चान्स पाएमा हामीले पनि के गर्नु भन्ने चाहना हुन्छ अनि हामी सधैँ महिला चाहिँ त्यो घरमा मात्रै सीमित नभएर बाहिर पनि केही गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने भावना उहाँमा भएर नै उहाँ उठ्नु भयो नि त हामीले चाहिँ उहाँको लागि एकदम सम्मानको साथले अघि बढ्न हौसला दिनेछौँ
महिला सहयोगीहरू महिला न्यायका कानुनका महिला निर्वाचन अधिकारी तोकिनु भएको छ र उहाँले गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ उपत्यकाभित्र गर्नलाई उहाँहरूलाई आँट जाँगर जोस जाँगर उहाँले चाहिँ दृढता साथ निर्वाचन गराउनुहुन्छ भनेर महिलालाई चाहिँ उपत्यकाभित्रै नै पारिएको छ र बाहिर जिल्लामा नि महिला जानुभएको छ तर उपत्यका मात्र महिलालाई त पुग्ने अवस्था छैन निर्वाचन क्षेत्र धेरै छन् बाहिर पनि त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ महिला निर्वाचन अधिकारी हुँदा सहजता र उहाँहरूको अपनात्व गरेर उहाँले चाहिँ गराउनुहुन्छ भन्ने हिसाबले नै महिलालाई बढी फोकस गरेर भ्यालीमा राखिएको हो
महिला र पुरुष बराबरी हो महिलालाई नि चान्स दियोस् महिलाले नि सक्छ महिलालाई नि चान्स दिनुपर्छ
In context of Nepal we can take the example of women taking the leadership in Nepal like many places they are participating in several sectors like service government jobs but in the past days we can imagine they are not getting participating and they have very less participation that's why they cannot doing better but the time changing they are doing better they are empowering they are upgrading themselves
महिलाहरु त पहिला एकदम पीडित थिए भित्रै बस्ने अहिले चाहिँ बल्ल महिलाहरु अलि फिल्डमा उत्रिहान र हामीलाई खुसी लाग्यो महिलाहरुले राम्रो काम गर्दा अगाडि बढ्दा चाहिँ हामीलाई खुसी लाग्छ महिलाहरुले एकदम राम्रो काम गरेर हामीले नि हौसला दिने हो एकदम राम्रो हो यो
Now, what happens if the candidates or political parties who have violated the Election Code of Conduct do not respond to the Election Commission? Well, the Commission says it has taken reflective rather than reactive approach, or on default is, it would only wait for 3 days on each case before unilaterally taking action. We have a report.
The Election Commission has been issuing 4 to 5 letters in average per day on Code of Conduct violation. Among those sought clarification are political parties, candidates, common people, and organizations on separate accounts. According to the Election Commission, it has sought clarification from 15 entities as of Wednesday, out of which 5 have responded. Even on Wednesday, the Commission issued around 5 clarification letters for Code of Conduct violation. While the Commission insists that the approach is more reflective than reactive, when it comes to Code of Conduct violation, concerns are rife. What if the candidates and parties do not respond to the Commission? According to Assistant Spokesperson at the Commission, Kulbahadur GC, the Commission intends to aware the violators so that they do not repeat the same again.
If the candidates or the political parties do not respond to Election Commission, then they are just booked for the violation of Electoral Code of Conduct. That's why they should respond honestly. For the time being, we are giving just 3 days, clarification for 3 days. If they still violate the rules and regulations, if they still ignore the electoral laws, then they will again come into the actually periphery of just punishment.
The Commission has the right to slap fine up to 100,000 and or even cancel the candidacy of the candidate concerned as per the Code of Conduct. On every clarification, the Commission gives 3-day ultimatum to the individuals concerned. In case the defaulter does not respond on the first occasion, the Commission gives second change by sending the letter again with another 3-day deadline. According to the Commission, in case the defaulter does not respond on the second occasion as well, then it unilaterally takes action. Amid rising concern among the general public that the Commission has been overlooking cases of Code of Conduct violation, the Commission has made it clear that the 3-day deadline for 2 occasions is the most it will wait.
Nepal's Election Commission has said preparations are underway for the upcoming House of Representatives elections scheduled for March 1st. According to Commission spokesperson Naren Prasad Bhattarai, more than 1,090,000 sample ballots have been printed and distributed to all districts for voter education. Ballot printing for first-past-the-post constituencies in Humla, Kalikot, Jumla, Mugu and Dolpa has already been completed. Printing for the remaining districts is continuing. The Commission plans to transport ballots to all 165 constituencies between February 6th and 16th. More than 20 million proportional representation ballots have already been printed. That was our issue of the day. We're going for a quick break here. After the break, why Nepal remains on the international grey list for money laundering and what's at stake if reforms fail. We'll also be joined by an expert to break down the risks and what needs to change. This is News Hour here on NTV World. Welcome back. Time now for a cover story of the day. Nepal remains on the international grey list for money laundering as authorities struggle to control assets generated through corruption, tax evasion, human trafficking and illegal drug trade. Last fiscal year, 20 money laundering cases were filed, with 5 more registered in the first 6 months of the ongoing fiscal year. Despite new laws, including a ban on cash transactions above 500,000 rupees, enforcement remains weak due to political pressure and limited commitment. Experts warn that failure to meet international standards within the next 11 months could place Nepal on the global blacklist, affecting foreign investment, international trade and remittances from migrant workers. Today on National Money Laundering Prevention Day, Finance Minister Rameshwar Khanal said, with committed action from all agencies, Nepal can exit the grey list within a year's time. Now, to help us understand the implications of the grey list and what needs to be done, we are joined by economist Mr. Nishant Khanal. Mr. Khanal, welcome to News Hour.
Thank you so much.
How serious is the FATF grey list in which Nepal has been reeling for more than a year?
For a country like Nepal, the FATF grey list is a concern that we should be taking it very seriously. As you already said, that we've been in the grey list for the past 1 year. It's very serious for us as a linked to we are relied on remittances. We don't produce much, but we import. So this has a direct cost of doing business as well. It has also increased the cost of remittances for our foreign workers who send the money to the back home to the families here. Apart from that, it also is a serious concern for a growing economy like ours, where we're expecting a lot of investment, as we are in dire need of foreign investment for a country to develop. So this is a concern that we should be seriously looking into, and the matter that the government and all the stakeholders should be resolving it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the cost of the grey list might hamper the economic progress of the country, as well as also it will hamper the growth of the country, as I said, and also the cost towards the remittance earner, the cost of remittance. And again, that has a counter-cycle offer that effect that we say is that if the cost of remittance is higher, then they would again indulge into doing the informal remittance trade. And again, that would be an issue that FATF would seriously look into.
Mm-hmm. Does the whole issue of corruption and lack of transparency only account to fiscal market, or even Nepal's capital market is under the scanner?
I think it's FATF, when it looks for a financial environment or a financial risk in a country, does not just look to the fiscal side, where we can say that, okay, just the corruption that is an issue, but it's not the case. FATF looks economic and a financial environment in a very holistic approach. So it's a very systemic and governance issue that they look into. So it's not just the capital market. They also look into something called the designated non-financial markets, but markets like the real estate, the market like the capital market, and also other virtual asset trading platforms too, because it involves a lot of the grey list is associated to the illicit financing and counter-terrorist financing as well. So they look into all the vaults where there could be this illicit money be parked. So it's not just the fiscal side, but also the market side, as well as all other connected sides.
Mm-hmm. Nepal's finance ministry says that despite various measures taken towards ensuring fiscal discipline in the country, removing Nepal from the grey list is not possible without amending some legislations. Would you agree to it?
That's quite true, that we need to amend quite a few legislation as well, but just not the legal reform that is what's putting us on the grey list. So in the last mutual agreement that FATF did for Nepal, they've said that the laws in Nepal have improved, but the implementation is where they've seen the real gap. So it's not the first time that we are in the grey list as well. So it's not just that we need to do some legislative reforms, but the implementation is the problem. Having said that, yeah, we need to also do quite a few reform in the laws, and also what FATF, I believe, is looking for Nepal to resolve is that we've not done a very strict implementation of law. I would say that it is because one is that we've failed to seize the properties or the transaction that FATF has highlighted or the government has found might have been done illicitly. So that is one thing, and we've also failed to submit the mutual agreement and the assessment report as well, and also our financial information unit and the implementation gap is the real problem, what I would say. Mm-hmm. And there is also a provision of this risk supervision on the asset that I was telling earlier, like the capital market and the asset market, real estate, has not been done. So maybe he might have referred that, okay, our real estate and all other assets would also come under the scrutiny, and the law might have to govern. But it's not just the law alone, but it's the holistic approach. The implementation of the law is also where the gap is. Like, we passed the law in the past, and that's how we've always been getting this grace mark to be on a very minimal margin of not being on the grey list in the past. But now I think it's time for the government to show the strict implementation of, like, seizure of the property, taking a strict measure on the counterfeit money and the counterfeit terrorist financing as well, and also taking this Anti-Money Laundering Act and Anti-Money Laundering Prevention Act very seriously.
Great. Mr. Khanal, before we let you go, if you could quickly answer to this, how much time does Nepal have to mend its fiscal discipline? And in case it does not meet the deadline, what will happen?
Two things. I think we don't have much of time. I think it's almost over a year now that we're in the grey list. And again, we might be on the grey list twice. That might be, the scrutiny would be even more higher. The cost of doing business for us would be even more higher. So the consequences are bad for Nepal as an economy that's trying to grow. So I think I would say we don't have much time. The government should not, like, even though we have, let's say, a time of 6 months that we can have as a grace, but I'd say it is something that the government, despite being the non-elected government, has to act very immediately. Otherwise, this would, trigger a lot of due diligence and also enhance the cost of remittance, cost of doing business, as well as, this might be a risk for us to, being delinked from the global economy while the time we're trying to grow.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, that was economist Mr. Nishant Khanal on Nepal's grey list. What's clear is that the next year will be decisive and the cost of inaction could be far too high. That was our cover story of the day. Moving on, a shifting weather system has brought light rain to Kathmandu Valley, making the capital noticeably colder since early morning. A western low-pressure system is affecting weather across Nepal, bringing rain to Kathmandu Valley and snow to high hill and mountainous regions. Temperatures in the capital have dropped since early morning, with midday rainfall making it feel even colder. Over the past 24 hours, Sudur Paschim and Karnali provinces have recorded heavy rainfall, including 43 millimeters in Surkhet, while moderate rainfall in western hilly districts were reported. High-altitude areas, including parts of Himalayas, have received snow, disrupting daily life. Meteorologists report that the system will gradually weaken overnight, with mostly clear skies expected in lowland regions. Some high mountain areas may still see light snow or rain, and fog is forecast for the Tarai Plains tomorrow. Sudden change in the weather pattern due to influence of westerly wind has brought heavy snowfall in the high mountainous areas of Nepal. While local tourists are rushing to experience the snow atop hills and molehills, farmers are happy that the winter crops will excel. Rojina Rai, along with our local correspondents, explore the high hilly districts of western Nepal that are blanketed by snow.
As January draws to a close, widespread snowfall has blanketed Nepal's high mountainous and hilly region. The fresh snow has drawn tourists to popular destinations, while farmers across the areas have welcomed the precipitation after a dry spell. The snowfall and accompanying rain have increased soil moisture, offering partial relief to winter crops that had suffered due to a lack of precipitation. Heavy and continuous snowfall has been reported in several high-altitude districts of the country, including Manang, Humla, and Bajura. The sudden change in the weather condition has disrupted daily life in the western hilly districts. Snowfall that began Tuesday night has blocked sections of mid-hill highway, while rain and snow continue to affect transportation and normal activities. Mustang district has experienced heavy snowfall, leaving hills and mountains covered in thick snow. The Kagbeni-Korala roadway, a key route in the region, has been closed due to adverse weather, with snow accumulating up to 2 feet in some areas. Meanwhile, northern parts of Gorkha have also witnessed snowfall since Tuesday night, turning the Himalayas, high hills and villages white. In Raswa district, thick snow covered upper regions, while lower areas received light rainfall. Several areas including Gosaikunda, Langtang, Lauribina, Dhunse Lake have been most affected. Meanwhile, Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has warned that heavy snowfall in Nepal's high Himalayan regions has increased the risk of avalanches and other weather-related hazards. Trekkers and tourists have been advised to be cautious.
Moving on, Nepal Medical Council has made public the results of its latest medical licensing examination, showing that nearly 60% of candidates failed to qualify. According to Registrar Dr. Satish Kumar Dev, only 39.45% of the candidates passed the 74th MBBS and BDS licensing exams. The computer-based examinations were conducted earlier this week at Pulchok campus of the Institute of Engineering. Out of 943 candidates who appeared, only 372 passed, while 24 of the 967 registered were absent. In the MBBS category, 38.7% passed, while the pass rate for dental graduates stood at 42.85%. Results raise serious public concerns about the quality of medical education at universities and colleges across Nepal. Now, Palpa, declared leprosy-free 16 years ago, has seen a rise in cases over the past 3 years. In the current fiscal year, 7 new infections were identified compared to 18 in the fiscal year 2024-25. Last year, 21 patients were receiving treatment, according to District Health Office. Cases have been reported in Tansen, Rampur, Nisti and Tino municipalities, while Rambha and Ribdikot currently report no infections. Despite awareness campaigns, active case searches and multi-drug treatment programs, high disability rates and social stigma persist. Officials urge anyone with suspected symptoms to seek timely medical care, warning that lack of trained personnel and limited prioritization continue to pose challenges. In Beldandi municipality, Kanchanpur, local authorities are offering mothers 3,000 rupees for giving birth to daughters, aiming to tackle long-standing gender discrimination. Gender bias affecting the birth of daughters is global concern, with many societies facing challenges around equal treatment, education and health care for girls. This program, under the Deputy Chairperson's Kosheli initiative, has supported 40 mothers this fiscal year alone, with a total of 353 mothers receiving benefits since 2023-24. Mothers must present marriage and birth certificates to claim the allowance, which is also expected to help prevent child marriages. Previously, mothers received only 500 rupees as postnatal nutrition support. International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the headlines. Election Commission issues 3-day deadline to Election Code of Conduct violators to respond, warns of unilateral action otherwise. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in federal capital Kathmandu to be overseen by women returning officers. Nepal faces risk of global blacklisting as weak enforcement hampers efforts to exit international money laundering grey list. Gold and silver prices hit record highs in Nepal as global and domestic demand push precious metals up. Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar killed along with 4 others as plane crashes near Pune in Maharashtra of India. And Nepal's Dipender Singh Airi climbs 2 spots to 6th position in latest ICC Men's T20 All-Rounder rankings. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that a Democratic victory in the November midterm elections would lead to what he described as very bad things as he launched his campaign push in Iowa.
Lose the midterms, you'll lose so many of the things that we're talking about, so many of the assets that we're talking about, so many of the tax cuts that we're talking about. And it would lead to very bad things. We got to win the midterms. I mean, I'm here because I love Iowa, but I'm here because we're starting the campaign to win the midterms. We got to win the midterms.
His remarks come amid heightened political tensions following the fatal shooting of a nurse by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis, an incident now under review for possible breaches of protocol. The White House has said the administration may scale back some operations in the city, while insisting there is no full pullback from immigration enforcement. The situation intensified after Democratic lawmaker Ilhan Omar was attacked with a syringe at a town hall meeting, prompting renewed debate over security and immigration policy. The developments underscore deep divisions in the United States as immigration enforcement, public safety, and the upcoming midterm elections converge. A South Korean court has sentenced former First Lady Kim Kyun-hee to 20 months in prison for accepting luxury gifts from a church described by authorities as cult-like, while acquitting her of stock manipulation and campaign finance violations. The 53-year-old wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol was found guilty of corruption after the court ruled she abused her proximity to power for personal gain. The prosecutors had sought a 15-year sentence. The verdict follows years of controversy that overshadowed Yoon's presidency, including allegations of graft and influence peddling. It comes as both Kim and Yoon are now in custody on separate cases. A French court has convicted former Senator Joel Garreau of drugging a fellow lawmaker with ecstasy with the intent to sexually assault her, sentencing him to 4 years in prison, including 18 months behind bars. The case stems from an incident in November 2023 when National Assembly member Sandrine Josso fell ill after drinking champagne at Garreau's Paris apartment, with toxicology tests later confirming the presence of MDMA. The verdict comes amid heightened public scrutiny in France following other high-profile cases involving drug-facilitated sexual crimes. Garreau, who resigned from Senate last year, has said he will appeal against the ruling. The United Nations Security Council has voted to end its monitoring mission in Yemen's Red Sea port city of Hodeidah, which was set up to oversee a ceasefire in the long-running conflict. 13 of the Council's 15 members backed the move, citing restricted operations and growing security concerns for UN staff. Russia and China abstained. The mission, known as UNMHA, has been in place since 2019 following fighting between Yemen's internationally recognized government and the Iran-aligned Houthi movement. UN officials said the operating environment has narrowed as the conflict has evolved and UN personnel have faced repeated detentions. The decisions come amid warnings that Yemen's humanitarian crisis, already described as the world's worst, is expected to deepen as food insecurity and aid shortages worsen. We're going for another short break here. More news coming up.
Colombia has announced new 30% tariffs on additional Ecuadorian products, escalating a trade dispute between the neighboring countries. Colombian Foreign Minister Rosa Yolanda Villavicencio said Bogota finds Ecuador's decision to question bilateral cooperation inexplicable, rejecting claims that Colombia has neglected security along the shared border. The move comes after Ecuador imposed its own tariffs last week, citing the cost of border security amid rising violence linked to organized crime. Colombian officials said the latest measures will expand duties to nearly 50 Ecuadorian products and include the suspension of electricity exports, while Ecuador has responded with higher fees on Colombian oil transport. The dispute reflects growing tensions over trade and security cooperation between the two countries, both central to regional efforts against drug trafficking. As Vietnam prepares for Lunar New Year, or Tet, consumer demand is surging, with shoppers increasingly relying on digital platforms for convenience and credit options. Nearly 87% of adults hold bank accounts, and e-wallets and social media channels have become central to holiday purchases, supported by AI and cloud-based payment systems. Banks and payment providers are offering tailored credit packages for households and small traders, helping them manage cash flow ahead of the celebrations. Enhanced digital security, including biometric re-verification and compliance with the new personal data protection law, is boosting consumer confidence for high-value transactions. In 2025, the digital economy contributed over 14% of the Vietnam's GDP, and cashless payments are now a key driver of domestic consumption. Thai coconut farmers are facing a severe price collapse, with aromatic coconuts falling to just 2 to 3 baht, which is around 0.6 to 0.09 US dollars per fruit, down from the highs of over 30 baht. The slump, which began in mid-2025, has hit major production areas including Samut Songgram, Samut Sakon, Nakhon Pathom, Ratchaburi and Phetchaburi, prompting farmers to gather in Ratchaburi to demand government action. Agriculture Minister Tamanat Prompo has launched a task force to investigate middlemen accused of manipulating prices, citing strong international demand that contrasts with the domestic collapse. To stabilize the market, the Department of Internal Trade has opened over 20 direct-to-consumer sales points in Bangkok and nearby areas to distribute more than 200,000 coconuts. Officials are also connecting farmers directly with retailers, wholesalers and tourist markets to bypass intermediaries and ensure fairer pricing. LVMH, the world's leading luxury goods group owned by Bernard Arnault, reported a 30% drop in net profit for 2025, falling to 10.9 billion euros, largely due to an exceptional tax on large French companies. Total sales also declined 5% to 80.8 billion euros as tariffs and geopolitical uncertainty weighed on consumer demand. The wines and spirits division was hardest hit with a 9% drop, while the fashion and leather goods division, which makes up nearly half of LVMH's revenue, saw an 8% decline. Despite the challenges, the company said it maintained innovation and resilience and expressed confidence in its performance for 2026, noting that U.S. sales grew in the second half of 2025 on solid demand.
Time now for sports update. Nepal's NTV National League is off to a competitive start, with departmental team APF Club claiming its 4th consecutive win. Today at the NTV complex in Sadabata, APF defeated Jalakhel Youth Club 2-1. Jalakhel initially took the lead but could not hold it, allowing APF to secure the top spot in the league table with 12 points from 4 matches, surpassing Laliguras Association. Jalakhel, meanwhile, has 3 points from 4 games, showing the competitive edge emerging in the region. Time now for the weather details, first from across Nepal and then the world. And before we wrap up this news bulletin, here's a look at the top stories once again. Election Commission issues 3-day deadline to Election Code of Conduct violators to respond, warns of unilateral action otherwise. 9 of the 10 election constituencies in the federal capital Kathmandu to be overseen by women returning officers. Nepal faces risk of global blacklisting as weak enforcement hampers efforts to exit international money laundering grey list. Gold and silver prices hit record highs in Nepal as global and domestic demand push precious metals up. Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar killed along with 4 others as plane crashes near Pune in Maharashtra of India. And Nepal's Dipinder Singh Airi climbs 2 spots to 6th in latest ICC Men's T20 all-rounder rankings. That is all for the moment here on NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media and also visit our official website nepaltelevision.com for more news and information. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.